Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, Chemo and Daniel Lim. Hope you guys are well. Chemo, it's a Sunday. We're doing a show. What the fuck? Feels so wrong.
It feels so right, man, because it's a very special occasion.
It is
it's our last show before the big trip to the US of A. So
it is indeed. For people that know me and Chemo are going over to see some fights. We'll be chilling with Daniel Lim. So we might not get a chance to do a show over there. We'll try our best, if we have decent internet and we got a bit of downtime, we'll definitely try and do a show, but we can't really guarantee it. So just bear with us, and give us a break. Don't be tweeting hate mail towards us just because we didn't do a show next Monday. But Chemo, you had a lot to say after Mayweather-McGregor last week, and obviously you can't make the show, it's time difference and work for you, but you want to start and give us your thoughts on the whole fight and the things that frustrated you afterwards?
Yeah, sure, man, sure. And obviously for the people that are listening, we'll do some exclusive live streaming, Cam, from the USA when we get there. But regarding your question, I actually didn't really have that much to say about the fight, in the entire build-up. I was never really interested in it. As everybody knows, I am a MMA fan. I'm a pretty hardcore fan. I pretty much watch it just as much as boxing, especially over the last, 5 years. And to me, this fight basically kind of became a roadblock to a bunch of exciting matchups that I, could foresee happening in the MMA side of things. On the boxing side of things, I didn't really give a shit because, it was Floyd Mayweather that we're picking. And I wanted him to retire anyway, he's a fucking nuisance to the sport, and I just didn't want him around again. And him coming out of retirement for a fucking cash grab was the last thing I wanted to see. But with Conor, it's different, right? Because Conor is still a fantastic MMA fighter in his prime, who is in an absolutely fantastic division. I mean, I know most people that listen to the show don't know fucking jack about MMA, but you can compare this to like the welterweight division in boxing when it's at its peak. Where you have guys like Thurman and Kell Brook. That's what you can compare it to. That's what you can compare the lightweight division that he fights in MMA. And there's so many exciting contenders that were waiting for him. So, as soon as this fight got announced, I knew what this meant. He's going to go make a shitload of money, and he won't fight in MMA for at least a year. If not ever. Because, honestly, if he's smart with his money, he could probably retire by now. And he's never going to make that kind of money anyway when he goes back to the UFC, unless a new star emerges where they can work something out. But
Chemo,
as of now, no.
Chemo, Rolls Royces don't buy themselves.
No, it's true. He does have a crazy lifestyle, so he'll probably keep on fighting. But I don't think he's going to get nowhere near the pay grade that he got with boxing, which worries me as well. Because now, I hope this didn't start a trend. I hope this didn't, starts creating all these fucking freak show fights. People are talking about Malignaggi, and I really, really do not want to see that fucking cunt on my TV again. And I certainly don't want him to get a payday out of this moaning and crying that he's been doing. So, how the whole build-up just left a fucking, bitter taste in my mouth. And then also something that pissed me off was this entire shift from the MMA media. Well, actually, the boxing media was kind of, semi-reasonable about the whole thing. But the MMA media suddenly shifted. Once the fight got announced, it went from a farce to a live fight, and we can't underestimate Conor, and he's gonna, he's got such a strong will, yada, yada, yada. At the end of the day, it was a fucking 0-0 guy going against one of the best boxers of this generation. So, talking about the fight itself, was I surprised with the outcome? No. Did Conor look okay? I guess. You know, he did a couple of nice things in there. You know, he slipped a couple of punches and countered with the left hand. Whenever he countered with the left hand, I thought he looked quite decent, actually. Like, he had a little bit of skill in that. And he does that in MMA as well, so it's not completely surprising that he can do that. You know, Floyd was kind of feeling him out, and he wasn't really, you know, putting the pressure on him in the beginning. So he gave him some room to fight, man, whether that was intentional or not. I know a lot of people like to twist that, you know, like, oh, he was doing it on purpose. Oh, he was, you know, doing it for the fans. And I'm sorry, if you say that, you're a fucking idiot. Because Floyd doesn't do nothing for the fans.
I disagree, bro. I disagree. You just don't understand.
My friend?
You don't understand the business, bro. Like, nah, Conor was successful. He landed more punches than Manny Pacquiao did. That he landed 111 significant punches. That's more than Manny did, who went 12 rounds. Conor did that in a span of 10 rounds. He's 0-0, and he fought the best guy in the history of boxing. Dude, Conor was a success. It was just good business for everyone. Everyone won in this situation, bro. So there's just no other way about it. I'm sorry, B.
Right. Back to my point. The fight itself.
I think the boxing media was just as bad, because the difference between MMA media and boxing media is that MMA media, sure, they come off as people who don't know shit in a lot of situations and people who are overzealous in a lot of situations. However, one thing that I do commend them on, and one thing that I actually prefer about the MMA media, is that they act like they give a shit more than boxing media does. Whereas boxing media just has this resigned sense of snobbery and this sense of just superiority, and yet they're willing to go to fucking mismatch after mismatch after fucking mismatches, and yet when this circus of a fight goes through, they're just like, yeah, we're too important for this shit. So fuck boxing media too. They're just as bad, if not worse, in my opinion.
Oh, I totally agree with that, by the way. I mean, in general, man, like, combat sports media are just a bunch of fucking fat, overweight weirdos, you know, that act like they're doing something really important in life when all they're doing is, you know, writing a fucking article once a week. I mean, that they were retarded in themselves, but again, back to the fight itself, Cam. It was slightly entertaining, you know, given that there was a little bit of a back and forth and there was a stoppage. And then we go to the aftermath of it, and everybody starts saying, like, oh, you got your money's worth, and oh, this is, you know, best possible outcome. Everybody's talking about how it was such a big fucking success, and it wasn't. You know, just because a fight was a little bit more entertaining and not a total shit fest like Manny Pacquiao against Floyd Mayweather was, doesn't mean it was a great fucking success. Well, not, at least not to me as a combat sports fan, you know? Like, how low are your standards if you think that was a fantastic fight? You know, it was like maybe decent. You know, that's what I can call it. Given the resumes of the people participating going in. You know, it wasn't a total whitewash, one-round knockout. So, and then also you have these fucking morons that are making it about a boxing versus MMA thing. Like, oh, we won. Dude, you didn't win anything. The boxing didn't win with this. Would it have been disastrous if Floyd got knocked out? Yeah, you probably get some funny looks going towards boxing. But that was never in the cards anyway. So the fact that people are now celebrating, like, oh, we put the MMA guys in their place. I mean, you're a fucking idiot. We didn't win anything. You just beat an 0-0 guy. Like, that's the stupid thing about this fight. People are turning it into something that it's not. Man, the whole reaction of people, just thought it was moronic, man. I really don't have anything good to say about this fight. It's held up a lot of great potential for Conor in the sport that he excels at. And once again, you know, like, that to me is a big thing. And obviously for the people that, you know, are cheering for this fight, it isn't, because they don't watch fucking regular MMA and they probably don't even watch regular boxing. So
yeah, but
that's it, man. That's my rant on it.
I mean, we're obviously not going to talk too much about MMA and the landscape there, because most of our listeners don't give a shit. But has it really hold up much, if at all, anything? In that sport, Conor always takes about a year off, nearly 12 months off after winning a belt. He hasn't defended a single title once. Obviously, the one at 55 was because of this situation here, but at 45, he certainly didn't defend that belt either. And obviously,
But he was active, though. He was active, Flynn.
Yeah, sure, he was active, but he didn't fight. And the whole point of being active is fighting, is it not?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I need to go.
Let me just also say this: Khabib obviously pulled out, so that was a hurdle that he couldn't have foreseen. But what I'm saying is that I really don't think this has much of an impact, or at least it wouldn't have, retroactively speaking, made much of an impact on what he did in MMA. So that's why I'm okay with it, honestly. And there's really nothing else for me to add to that either. I think Conor did okay given the circumstances, but what people I think fail to realize is that Conor doesn't even have extensive amateur boxing experience. Like, he left the amateur scene in Ireland very early to transition into MMA. So this is a guy that has really relatively little to no experience in boxing.
Well, to be honest, Lim, I do disagree with you, because the problem with this fight, whether we're going into it or after it, it's changed his entire perspective on what he wants to do with his career, right? He's not going to go back now and fight somebody like Khabib. You know, he's not going to go back now and fight somebody like Ferguson. The fuck is that going to do? You know, like, is he going to become one of these guys that can completely draw on his own, you know, and do still massive pay-per-view buys? Probably, but it's still going to be pale in compared to what he made now. Judging from what it sounds like, he doesn't really have the incentive anymore to go back and actually fight these hungry contenders, you know, and then that's the thing that really worries me, and that's the thing that pisses me off about the entire situation. But yeah, that's too much of an MMA discussion, though.
Yeah, I agree, and you're too angry, man. I don't like hearing you angry, so I'm just gonna avoid this conversation altogether. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to the listeners, guys. I mean, this guy curses a lot, and it definitely makes my ear pringle with uncomfortability. So sorry on our behalf. But hey, bro, let's talk about the business, man. 6.5 million pay-per-view buys, record-breaking numbers, bro. This is a lot of money. Not. Yeah, I know. It's close to 5, though, right? That's what they said, pay-per-view number-wise.
I heard it was I read that it was +4, like close to the Pacquiao Mayweather numbers. That's the last thing I read on Twitter, but everybody seems to be bullshitting. So I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, pay-per-view numbers nowadays, they're pretty difficult to really discern what's truth out there until we hear from a boy, Ariel, right?
Well, isn't it, who is it about the pay-per-view numbers? Kevin Iole or something?
Yeah, Iole or Glazer, I think, are the two guys. But even then, man. But no, Cam, I don't think there's much for us to really talk about regarding Mayweather-McGregor. I mean, I think you're talking to two people who have a really different perspective than most of our listeners, and that we watch both sports pretty extensively. Yeah,
that kind of brings at least a rational perspective to the whole thing, instead of, celebrating a so-called demise of one sport over the other, which is, fucking retarded.
But I think what people also fail to understand sometimes is that transitioning from MMA to boxing, I think, can be compared to transitioning from basketball to football. And the reason why I say that is that, sure, there may be more similarities in the former, but the thing is, to be a good boxer, you really have to forget a lot of the tendencies that you have as an MMA fighter. And naturally, if you only have 6 months to train for a fight like Conor did, there's no way that you won't revert to those tendencies at some point in the fight, just in terms of the way you breathe, your stance, the way you punch, how you extend certain punches. It's just an impossible task. And, just because he gassed in boxing isn't a direct, I think, reflection on his conditioning in MMA. They're just two entirely different things. The way that your nerves settle in between rounds, just the duration of the rounds in general, and just the way your muscles are built up and having to train in different disciplines in MMA, they all just play a factor. So they really are two completely different sports. There's no similarities in that, just because they may show or showcase certain things like punching that may seem a little bit similar. Just the way that you approach it are so entirely different for him to ever have a chance, unless he trained in that discipline, years and years and years on end. So I thought, like Kimo said, I thought he did okay despite the circumstances. I think if Conor focused strictly on boxing his entire career, he could have been a pretty decent boxer, but obviously that's not what he did. So I think the conversation ends there.
Lim, just quickly on the tendencies that you spoke of. We saw it in the ring, right? He did so many things which is embedded in his muscle memory, that he normally does in MMA, which make no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Which he's very good at in terms of using his lateral movement to get back position. He's very good at that. Yeah, but in boxing,
but even the hammer fists, like that seemed to me like something like, what's the point of doing that? Like it doesn't even work with the big glove that much, and it's just it's just not loud. Like why are you constantly doing that? It seemed to be like it's just a reflex that he just gets into, and I think that's probably something that he underestimated a little bit as well. Like just unloading that muscle memory of MMA that you have.
Sure. But I think it's also probably something that he deliberately did. I mean, it's no surprise for this entire training camp, he didn't add a single traditional boxing mind in his camp. It was strictly his former MMA trainers. So, these are guys who have absolutely no boxing experience. So I think he knew that coming in, this was an obstacle that he couldn't overcome quite simply. But despite the circumstances, like I said, I thought he did okay. And I mean, some of the things that he did were obviously extremely poor, like his inability to really extend through punches. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Two things about Golovkin and Canelo that we love so much is their ability to extend through punches and their ability to dig, especially in the body. And Conor fighting in the UFC, the size of those gloves doesn't mandate you to throw in a similar technique, and you could just see that in the fight. He really doesn't really throw with the same kind of intentions or the same kind of technique as a very good high-level punching boxer would do in the ring. So that was something that was disappointing for me, that he didn't even really seem to develop any kind of technique or skill at that. But, like I said, it seems like we're just complaining about a fight that we kind of knew was going to be this kind of result since the very beginning. So, I think 25 minutes is enough time that we've already spent on this discussion.
Yeah, I have nothing really else to add about it. I do want to quickly touch on Badou Jack. I don't know if you saw that fight, Lim, but I was, again, even though Cleverly is pretty much done for, and he's, it's a bit harsh to call him shot, but he is definitely over the hill. I mean, Badou Jack keeps looking better and better, man. Like, very, very solid body work. Just very crisp punches. I worry about him going to the elite guys. I'm reading on Twitter about him facing Adonis Stevenson. I am not sure how that will end up for him. But I think I'm just going to stop underestimating him, man. And I know Leon will never let it go, the Badou Jack thing, but I don't know, man. Maybe this guy really was just the victim of a fluke knockout a few fights back, and he's just completely rebuilt himself, and he just looks sturdy and solid, man. Like every fight, he doesn't even get in trouble. He just looks really good, and I'm very impressed, and I'm looking forward to future matchups. And if he really is going for the champion next, man, I take my hat off to him. Really. Did you see that fight, Lim?
Yes, I did. No, I'm lying. I didn't, but I did watch the highlights of it, and I can't give enough props to Badou Jack, because I'm the idiot who kept downplaying his career, especially after that knockout. But he continues to prove me wrong. I still think DeGale won that fight when I first saw it. However, if you scored it for Jack, I wouldn't have minded at all, because it was an extremely close fight, and I rated DeGale pretty highly, and I still do. His ability to fight cleverly in his first fight at 75 in that manner and in that fashion is really impressive, because no one has done that to Cleverly except Sergey. So that's really impressive for your first fight. But yeah, I think the more ironic thing is Badou is a guy that nobody really gives a fuck about at TMT, and yet he's the one that's making noise compared to the other moron and Gervonta Davis, who's the TMT fighter that Floyd continuously pushes and gets all the airtime, and yet is a moron who can't even make weight and fights in a dud of a fight, the biggest audiences that he's ever been in his career. So, massive L for him and massive W for Badou.
Yeah, what's your take on that, man? Because I'm very disappointed. I was, when he went over to the UK, he looked fucking impressive. Gervonta just looked the part. But I don't know, man. My gut feeling is telling me that all this push for Mayweather and all this exposure is starting to get to him a little bit. I know that's a bit judgmental because I don't know the guy and I'm basing it on one event, but it doesn't look right, man. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of a certain Adrian Broner, and I really don't want it to play out in the same way because the guy's fucking talented, man.
Wash your mouth out with soap, man. Don't be comparing him to Adrian Broner, bro.
Dude,
why?
They're both bums. They're both bums, Cam.
Nah, Gervonta's talented, man.
Yeah, and
we thought that about AB as well, man.
Nah, man. I was never high in AB, man. He was just beating up little dudes.
Yeah, and so is Gervonta.
No, he is a little dude.
What's the difference?
No, he is a little dude, so he's beating up bigger guys.
No, but the thing is, Broner had a more impressive resume at 135 and at 130 than Gervonta does. And I know that's not saying much because the only guy really on AB's resume at the time was DeMarco. But that's still better than anyone's Gervonta's fought.
I'm just trolling. No, I said the same thing last week. He really impressed me against Pedraza, his performance against Walsh. But I kind of like you, Kimo, because like after that Walsh fight, you see him in a Rolls Royce and like taking selfies and all that. I do think, as you've said, that I think the whole Mayweather push and the money's getting to his head a bit.
I actually disagree with that. I think it's just inherently in Gervonta being a dumbass. It's not Floyd, actually. Floyd has actually had issues with Gervonta being a fucking moron and being MIA when he's been trying to reach him. And he just has this thing, like he tries to live like a dual life. I mean, obviously he's probably
How
had
do
a
you
really
know
rough...
that, by the way? What's your source
actually,
on that?
I read it on Boxing Scene. I mean, Floyd went on some personal tirade against Gervonta for not like responding to his calls or whatever. I don't know why I read the article, but the gist of it was essentially that this guy's a head case.
That's an L for you for reading that article. Properly.
I know it is, but my point still stands. I think this is one of the rare situations that it's not necessarily Floyd's push that's getting into Gervonta's head. I think Gervonta is just naturally a fucking moron who can't be really controlled despite his talent. And I don't really know, man. I've lost kind of all respect for the guy when they were talking about Lomachenko and this and this and that and him talking about the business side and Lomachenko not being enough of a fucking draw. Like, once he went down that road, I was like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck about you until you fight somebody good. So I really don't care whether he makes weight or not. I mean, the fact that you lost your title on the scales at 22 years old, like when you should be able to make weights very, very easily. I mean, my God, that's a terrible, terrible look for you just as a boxer, man.
But you should relate to him, man. Like, your team thickness, his team thickness, man. When you're thick as you guys, you know, making weight must be difficult.
He's not that thick, man.
Nah, he is, man.
Lim is way thicker than him.
Nah.
And despite that, man, the guy can... I mean, the way just hearing him talk makes me want to shoot myself sometimes. It is the most cringeworthy thing to listen to, man. So I'm not a fan of Gervonta until he fights somebody good. He's talented. Don't get me wrong. I see the talent in him when he fights, but I mean, he's kind of in a no man's land as well, because he may be somewhat big at 130, but once he starts transitioning to 135, he's going to be smaller than a lot of these guys. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they progress with his career.
Yeah, he doesn't have the height playing in his favor like AB does. You know, he can't stretch up a few weight classes maybe. But I actually read I didn't read it. I saw it in a YouTube interview where somebody asked Mayweather about this, and he kind of dropped a comment, which I don't know, not to read too much into it, but he did kind of show his disapproval. You know, he was like, "Yeah, I never fucking failed to make weight," and he's right. You know, like I mean, for all the fucking bullshit that we talk about Mayweather, like, at least he's always, well, he slipped up once, but at least most of his career, he's always been a fucking professional in terms of making weight, being in shape, and, you know, having the best possible preparation. And like you said, to be 22 years old and start going through this bullshit now when you're supposed to be building up and you know, yeah, I mean, what does he have now? He made a couple of easy paydays that are what? He can fucking blow that out in a couple of months, you know? Like, this is when you start laying the foundation of your career. And when you're fucking 22 and now you're already starting the AB route, that's not good, man. He needs to come back strong and he needs to come back looking good. And yeah, he's 22, but yeah, again, if you're pushing a guy at the forefront in a title picture, then we're going to expect him to fight the best guys. You can't have it both ways. This was the same criticism with Canelo when he was younger. You wave world titles in his face, but then you still say like, oh, he needs to develop. No. It doesn't work like that. It's either or, Either you build it up slowly, or, you're a world title contender, then face the fucking best. Don't come with this business case bullshit about, oh, he's not a big draw. Who the fuck are you, man? Honestly. You were fighting Liam Walsh in where was that, Cam? In the Copper Box?
Yep.
In front of 2,000 people? Shut the fuck up, man. Make something of your career first, and then we'll talk. Anyway, that's my take on Mr. Tank Davis.
Lim, you got anything else regarding last weekend?
No, I hope Conor makes a shitload of money. I want him to be happy for his life so that he has enough money for his grandchildren, man. I mean, I love Conor. I hope to see him again in MMA. Hopefully we can watch him fight Paulie in Dublin. I'm definitely game for that too.
I am not fucking game for that. I'm not game for that. Why would you be game for that?
Because I want to go to Dublin, Ireland. And
we'll go for Conlon. We'll go for Conlon to Ireland. To Belfast.
Who?
Conlon.
Conlon? Who the fuck is that guy? The guy who's 3-0.
Well, he's going to be filling up some pretty big arenas soon, I'll tell you that.
That guy sucks, man. I watched his pro debut. He's not that good. He's too amateurish. But anyways, nope. That's it for me, Kim. Nothing else to report on that carnival of a weekend last week.
Same here. Let's move on.
All right, Kimo. This weekend, not really much to talk about. Friday, we had this.
Oh God! Next gen card.
Next gen card.
JD, baby, JD.
Guys, man, it was nice talking to you guys.
Lim, we want a 30-minute breakdown of each fight from you, please. Go.
I'll break down Conor Benn's Reebok commercial, which is the only footage I've ever seen of Conor Benn. So I think it's
a good one, though, right?
Yeah, he looks good, bro. And that training montage that I saw, he's got all the skills necessary to be a world champion. So I definitely think he's going to follow in his father's footstep and become a legend in UK boxing for years and years and years to come, man. I definitely have really high hopes for the guy.
It's funny you say that, though, because Kimo, it's amazing what a name can do, because when I looked at the viewing figures for the fights that were put up from that card on YouTube, like the Ben fight was like head and shoulders above anything else, and you think like maybe Buatsi would get a lot, closer to the views that Ben was getting, but no, man, he's living off that father's name.
Well, honestly, Cam, if I were a promoter and I would look at the both of them, I know Buatsi is a talented guy, and I like the way he looked in his first fight. I didn't like his second fight at all. But he doesn't really have that, that it factor, that star power. Whereas Ben, even though he's a bit of a, I don't know, he's a bit of a weird guy, but I can see how he appeals to people. I can kind of see the storyline and the image. Like he does have something that you can promote. Whether he can fight, that's a different story. But I'm not really surprised by that, Cam. But yeah, man, you want to just quickly run down the card so we get this out of the way? They had a beautiful JD logo, by the way, in the ring. I don't know if you saw that, Lim, but I'm still suspecting that you actually watched the card and that you're lying to us. But they were promoting JD properly everywhere.
Well, it was actually promoted as JD Next Gen, but even on some of the gloves, the gloves had the JD on them. But yeah, let's just start. Cheeseman, did you watch the Cheeseman fight?
I did. The problem with this fight, and actually the fights that I had with it, the fights of the rest of the card, was that they were very sloppy, Cam. There was a lot of clinching in every fight I've noticed, and there just wasn't a good flow. Same with the Cheeseman fight. Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can say about it. All I can keep repeating is that I really, really like Cheeseman. I love his whole footwork. You know, I love the slickness. You know, and the aggressive style at the same time. I really enjoy it, and you know, my real highlight of that weekend is that his name was starting to be mentioned in the same sentence as Pigford. Now that is a fucking fight I want to see.
That's pay-per-view.
What did you think? Yeah, that's pay-per-view, right? That's instant flight ticket for me, man. Instant.
Exactly. Now, I like Cheeseman as well. You know, head body works really good. He cuts off the ring pretty decent. But yes, the opponents, I said to you when we were watching it live that a few of these guys were given less than a week to prepare. So you get that type of quality then if you're only giving a guy 5 days to prepare for a fight on the Friday, then you're not going to get a high caliber opponent. So and that was just the whole kind of story of most of the card. If you kind of see it, like most of them were easy. Came out a funny story on my Twitter feed. I saw a guy, he had like 17 pence just left in his old betting account, so he put the whole 17 pence on all the favourites on the JD card, the televised card, and he got back a massive 18 pence. So basically he made 1 penny profit.
That tells you something, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, it's just the caliber of the opposition report. And this Leslie guy, he didn't come to fight. He was covering up. He was running. He was, you know, he kept arguing with the referee, pushing him. I think he didn't want to get stopped and maybe go on a medical suspension, so he just thought, I'll get disqualified. But he didn't want to do it as like a headbutt or something, so he kept pushing the ref, and the ref just fucking disqualified him. Just fucking bitch. It was just stupid, man.
Yeah, Cam, I remember somebody on Twitter posted a screenshot of this card. I think it was maybe like 2 weeks ago, where you had basically only like 2 confirmed opponents, and the rest was all TBA. You know, like all these guys were just brought in like last minute just to serve them up. And yeah, they didn't even, except for 1 or 2, they didn't even really get like clean, you know, highlight reel knockouts. It was just a sloppy mess most of the time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Cordina was just a quick 1-round stoppage. Look, hand speed looked good, but you can't really take much away from it. You're talking about Conor Benn. His knockout was actually quite decent, but Kane Baker, even though he was like 4-0, his technique was terrible, man. Like, he was kind of throwing arm punches.
Terrible.
Arm punches, just kind of slapping with him, and then he got caught with a nice left hand, I think it was, stunned him, and then Conor caught him with a right hook, and he laid him out on the floor. And I think Jeff Hines did a good job of just stopping the fight, because Baker didn't really look like he was fully recovered. So that was a decent knockout. Coley is a knockout waiting to happen. I think most people agree. You say it, like my whole Twitter feed says the same thing. For such a tall guy, I don't understand why he steps in with the jab, and then he just gets too close, and he's working on the inside. You got those long levers, as Adam Smith would say. You don't need to do that, man. Use your jab, you know, 1-2s down the pipe. You know, simple, man. You use your attributes to your benefit.
I mean, his footwork, I've said it many times, his footwork is worse than Deontay Wilder's. Like,
and that's saying something.
He's like Deontay Wilder on ice, you know, like, it's fucking bad, man. Like, he just has no balance. He has no sense of, like you say, keeping distance and just taking little selective steps to maintain that distance, and just, you know, I don't know, man. Sometimes when you have that height and reach, like, less is more, man. Like, keep the guy at the end of your jab and stop moving around and fluttering around like a fucking, you know, like he's got these Bambi legs, you know, like he can just fall over any time. It just looks really, really sloppy, man. And again, they keep talking about his power, but I think he has average power. You know, I don't think he has elite power. They keep saying like, oh, he's got the one-hitter quitter, but I don't think he does, man. Yeah. I really don't think he does. And even stopping the guys at this kind of level, who the fuck cares, man? That doesn't mean anything.
I think a big issue for him is his body type. He's so tall. He's 6'5", and like most 6'5" are heavyweights. But when you put him into a cruiserweight, like, he doesn't seem he has the... Like, you look at all the big, tough cruiserweights, they're very broad, very, you know, thick set. But he just looks so spindly, man, like, he can't really take a big shot.
He's 6'5", Cam?
Yeah.
Jesus, I didn't realize he's that tall.
Really, he should pack on more muscle and go to heavy, but he doesn't look like he's got a chin for heavyweight. To be honest, I don't think he's got a chin for...
Wow, he is really tall. Yeah, I mean, he has like the frame of a skinny basketball player, you know, not of a boxer. Honestly, I think anybody with a good body shot will fucking fold him in half, you know? Like, it's like you say, these guys are, you know, built like fucking tanks, and he's struggling also with guys at the lower level. Like this African guy, like, he was muscling him around a little bit as well, you know?
Yeah.
And he actually had some decent head movement at time, but again, his punch technique was fucking terrible. So he couldn't really capitalize on it. But I saw Okoli missing a lot, and I thought, man, if that was somebody who could actually, you know, do a basic left hook counter or whatever, slip and fucking rip it, then man, he would get iced very, very fucking easily.
Yeah,
I don't think any maybe top 20, top 30 fighter that knows how to come forward, you know, bob and weave a little bit, man, he's gonna get on the inside and eat him apart.
Yeah, that Blaze Mendoa, his opponent, he was clowning him at times, just saying like, yeah, your punches aren't hurting me. And the worst part is when he was clowning him, kind of doing the Roy Jones, and he got hit that with the 1-2 and got dropped. That was a bit embarrassing. But I actually seen him before. He fought Daniel Dubois a couple months ago, and he took a big shot from Dubois in the first round, and he got up and he continued to fight, and he got stopped in the second. But he's a tough dude, and Okoli, even though he dropped him, I don't really think he hurt him throughout those 6 rounds, and that's the issue, man. Like, if you're not really hurting dudes at this level, then when you reach even maybe European level guys, you're gonna come a cropper.
I think he could have beaten him, Cam. But my problem with this guy is that he just, I don't know, he just clowns too much. Like he doesn't seem to take it that seriously, and he had a lack of power. But like you say, he was often, you know, just kind of slipping the jab, slipping the right hand, kind of being on the inside. Yes, he was dipping low, but he had opportunities, man. Honestly, he created a lot of opportunities for himself with some good upper body movement, but then he would never capitalize on it. And I thought at one point, like, man, any moment now it's gonna hit, and Okoli is gonna do the dance. But unfortunately, that never happened, man. And by the way, I know they're trying to hype this shit up, but I think even Chamberlain at this point feels sorry for him, because he's like, man, this guy's not fucking ready for me. I would ice him the fuck out.
Yeah, I would definitely favor Chamberlain.
Oh, he would murder him, dude.
Yeah.
It would be a slaughter. And I'd love to watch it, by the way.
Let's move on, though. But there was a fun fight. Well, half of the fight. The second half kind of faded off. But Jake Paul versus Joe Sharif. That was a fun fight for a few rounds.
Yeah, there was that one round. I forgot which round it was where I started freaking out and hyping you guys up. Well, nobody got hyped, but I was trying anyway.
Yeah, the second when Ball hit him with the left hook to the body and then he hurt him. And then he kind of slipped. Yeah. He got hurt and then slipped, and then he looked visibly hurt from the body shot. And then took a barrage and then took the knee. But then he came back at the end and he's kind of traded him with him. But that was the highlight of the fight. Apart from that, it really slowed later on. Both guys seemed like they tired and they weren't throwing as much towards the end of the fight. But it was a fun fight for the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, that was by far the best moment of the whole uneventful evening, Cam.
Yeah, Boatsy, he looked okay. His opponent, again, he was sloppy, man. He kept falling into him, holding him, grabbing him, just really mauling him, and it wasn't fun to watch, man. It was a bit, yeah.
No, I thought it was terrible, to be honest. I got really annoyed, and I dozed off quite a few times and just started doing something else, you know, just looking on my phone. So I didn't even honestly watch the whole fight, like, you know, with my entire attention. So, yeah, I think it's like you say, it's really down to the opponent just falling into him, because I like how Boatsy's inside game looks. I think he's a sturdy guy, and he fights well on the inside, good body shots. But if you have a guy that's just falling into you all the time, what can you do? It just becomes a clinch fest, and it's not really a good showcase. So, yeah, don't really have much to add about that, man. I just want to see this guy keep on fighting. I am, moderately excited for him. I like the way he looks. So let's see how they build him up.
Definitely. Just on that Cheeseman fight, it was a shame because that bit was on the Facebook portion of the broadcast. They came live after that. But then they had like a floater fight in between. And I'm thinking, well, this floater fight, why did he need this? Why did he not just put the Cheeseman in there? Because I think he kind of deserves more of maybe limelight, because I think he's a lot better than some of the guys that Hearn puts ahead of him. So it's a shame.
Oh, he's
really.
way better.
Yeah. It's a shame that that he's not really getting much attention at the moment, but maybe it'll change when he starts, maybe picks up the British belt or something like that. But yeah, let's move on. I did just catch the Carson Jones Margarito fight before we started doing the pod. And
Cam, can I just sorry to interrupt. Can I just mention one thing about the next gen card? Adam Smith was fucking abysmal again. Did you hear what he said about Ben?
I heard a lot of crazy shit that was coming out of his mouth.
This part about, Conor Ben doing it the hard way. Like, motherfucker, you are not even, like, you're taking this whole shit to the next level. Like, honestly, man. How can you sit there and say that this guy is doing it old school and fighting, like, stiff competition and doing it the old-fashioned way? Like, what the fuck are you on about? Seriously. And then the other guy, what's his name? Spencer
Oliver.
Yeah, he was pretty hyped up, man. It sounded like he had a couple of drinks that night and just fucking went crazy for every fight when nothing was happening.
He popped a few Lucas before he started.
Yeah, man, this guy was, everybody's great, and especially in the Ben fight, man, they were acting like Ben is just this monstrous, murderous puncher that's just gonna lay out everybody, man.
And he's only 20. He's only 20, yeah. Chemo. He's only 20. He's still a baby. He's still learning.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I did see a little bit of improvement in the way he punches,
well.
But again, that's that's very marginal. Like, that still doesn't mean that you're a good boxer, but. Yeah, sorry, man. Just have to get that in. Let's quickly move on to the Margarito thing.
Yeah, the Carson Jones Margarito fight. Bit of a controversial fight. Start off well. I probably think Margarito won the first, and then in the second the ref said it was a head clash. I didn't really see it. It could have been from a punch, but Margarito's eye started bleeding. And just Jones overall within the 7 rounds, because it got stopped on a technical. I think he was catching Margarito more, but it's just I think he just got a bad decision in the away country, man, because it went to the cards because the doctor thought that Margarito couldn't continue, especially him having previous injuries with the eyes as well, that he shouldn't fight on, and then fight got stopped and went to the cards, and then all 3 judges had Margarito ahead, and it was a shame because there was a point where Jones was deducted the point for leading with his head, but I don't think it was intentional. It's just the way he was kind of like leaping in with hooks, and I think Margarito was playing on it, and there was a lot of stop-start in this fight as well because both guys had the tape on their gloves that kept unwinding, and they had to keep going back to the corner, and it was just a really weird fight. But yeah, I feel bad for Jones, man. He never really gets his dues unless he fights Brian Rose the first time and then iced him, which was quite funny to watch. But yeah, that's really about it, Kimo. I haven't really got anything more to add.
Neither do I, man. It's a fight that I didn't really care about until I realized, on the day that it was actually happening, or it happened already, actually, when I found out. And I was watching it on this YouTube version of it, which wasn't that good of quality. And even in that, shitty pixelated version, just looking at Margarito's face, it just baffles me that this guy is still fighting. He looks fucking horrible, man.
It's a shame, man. You'd have to think it's down to money, wouldn't you? And it's a shame that these guys...
he's broke as shit, Cam. That's the only. I mean, he got divorced as well, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did because he had a lot hotter wife back in the day when he was fighting Cotto, so I think she took half his money and ran. But it's a shame, man. These guys fight all their lives, make all this money, and then just bad money, divorces, other financial decisions, and they're back fighting in the ring when they're way past it, man. They shouldn't be fighting anymore. They're putting their lives at stake, especially when you've had like eye socket damage before. Why do you want to go blind, man? What the fuck's wrong with you, man?
Man, it just looks. I've never, honestly, I've never seen a guy that looks that bad that gets cleared to fight. I mean, his eye is just. He looks like a cyborg, man. It's really fucking scary. I don't know, and I'm surprised that nothing has happened yet, because he's fought quite a few times now, right? With looking like this, and then so far, touch wood, so good. No permanent damage has been done, at least to the eye. But I mean, the guy's, by the time he's going to be 45, he's going to be a vegetable. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing of this guy left, man. He's just going to keep fighting for shitty pays, and really doesn't have any future ahead of himself, which is kind of sad if you think about it. But that's how a lot of guys end up in boxing, man. It's a sad truth.
That's his third fight since his comeback, and he's 39, man. It's like, does he need all that punishment? And he's a guy that took a lot of shots because of that great chin, and that accumulation starts getting to you, man. Soon you'll start seeing him slurring and shit, and then he'll still fight because he needs the money, man. It's a real shame.
He probably does already, Cam. We probably just don't know it because he speaks Spanish, but I'm pretty sure he's not in a great state at the moment. He looks like a fucking corpse as well. Like, just looking at him, he doesn't look healthy, man. So, yeah, man. Let's move on.
News-wise and announcements-wise, nothing I've really seen big to talk about. No fights, no big news. Obviously, boxing scene's got a bit back to normal, not being on a fucking OK Magazine type raid about Conor and fucking Floyd, man. That was getting to me, but yeah, unless you've got anything you want to talk about, should we stay straight going to Superfly?
Yeah, I think so, man. I don't think there's really been any big news. It seems like we're heading towards Joshua Pulev. I think that will get announced soon. The rematch between Pac and Horn seems to be in the works as well. Hasn't been confirmed as far as I know, but again, not something I'm really looking forward to. But whatever, if it happens, I'll watch it. That's about it, man. Your boy's gonna come back in the fall, right, Con? Nothing's been announced, but he's kind of been talking about getting back in the ring.
If he is, it'll probably be late, probably December maybe, because I follow him on social media, and he does kind of like training now and again. You don't see him do like big camps, so I think he's going to need at least like maybe 2.5 months to get in good shape.
Are you interested at all in him returning, or are you kind of done with it?
I'm done with
it. Or does it depend on the opponent?
I'm kind of done with him, to be honest. I don't think, he's last couple of years he's been too kind of inconsistent, and I think if he comes back now, he's just going to be chasing money. He's just going to be chasing big fights, which I don't think he'll win. Like most welterweights now, I think beat him quite easily. So I think Spence probably like proper brutally knocks him out.
Yeah, Keith would do the same thing to him.
Yeah, I think even Sean Porter would probably do the same thing.
And the inactivity is going to hurt him as well, man. Like whatever skills he had left that were kind of sharp, it's just going to start fading, especially the older you get, the more inactive you become. It's only going to get worse. So, I don't know. I'm really curious who he's going to pick for his return fight, but I have a feeling it's going to be somebody really shit.
Yep, just a waste of a fight.
Yeah. One other item, Cam, that you guys talked about, I think it was last week, was, Riggy versus Loma almost confirmed. I'm fucking pumped for that, man. I don't know why some people, somebody in particular was shitting on that fight, but I think it's a fantastic fight, regardless of weight. I don't think anybody walks through Rigondeaux. I don't know why somebody has that impression. I don't know anybody that has. Show me the guy that's walked through Riggy. Like, yes, he's getting older. Yes, he's going to be smaller, but. When he fought fucking Donaire, he looked tiny in the ring, man. Like Donaire was towering over him, and he still beat the crap out of Donaire. So I think it's a fantastic fight, and I think that's the real step up, for Loma in terms of quality, in terms of skill. So I'm pretty hyped for that, man. I really, really hope they sign this one.
Yeah, that's kind of gone quiet since it got talked about. So fingers crossed they're kind of in a negotiation period and we get that fight in December.
Yeah, man, it's a fantastic fight. Again, regardless of weight.
Yeah.
Really,
Well,
man.
one thing positive I could say about it is that I'll be rid of one of them.
Well, why would you want to get rid of one of them?
Because they both are trash, and both of their fan bases are fucking cancer and AIDS mixed together, injected into a serum that includes Black Plague.
Yeah, okay, but are you talking about the fan bases or the fighter now? Because there's a difference, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, both fighters are not my cup of tea either, but the fan bases just make it worse.
You went from cancer to not being a cup of tea, but okay. It's a bit extreme, but I mean, Riggy, honestly, yeah, I wouldn't lose sleep if he retired, and I wouldn't see him again because he has been, quite frankly, very boring at times. Loma, no, I'm still a skeptic like you, Naota, but I am very much interested in seeing him in bigger fights.
I'm not
keep on
skeptical.
going and fight the best. That's all I can say.
I'm not skeptical about the fact that I know that he beats Rigondeaux.
I'd probably pick him as well, but I still think it's a good fight. But yeah, let's see if it gets signed first, and then we can discuss it at length. I'm down to start doing the previews, Cam.
Let's quickly just give us some few things to kill 10 minutes with. Billy Joe, man, have you seen any of these selfies he's been taking? Dude's in shape.
Oh. Yes, good. Thank you, Jess, for that. That actually did want to talk about that, man. What the fuck is going on over there in that camp, huh?
Those Ingle
juices. Is it just motivation now, or is it a little something else?
Who knows? That's the question. That's the $1 million question.
Oh man, I mean, he hasn't looked this good since what? Since ever, right? I don't think he's ever looked in terms of the visual.
Eubank,
he's never looked this good. Right?
He was in great shape against Eubank.
Yeah, but I think he still had a bit of a fat camp though, didn't he, Cam?
He did lose a lot of weight, but he had abs and his core was in good shape against Eubank. He took that fight serious.
Yeah, but that's my point, right? Going into it, he still had a lot of weight to lose. And I remember in the build-up, like, he still was not, like, as soon as the fight got signed, yeah, he took it serious. But I still think in the majority of the camp, it was more of a weight loss thing than actually, working on your skills and getting ready for the fight and all the other aspects. And that showed a little bit in his cardio as well. When is the Monroe fight? How long do we still have left?
It's the same night as Triple G, so just under 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. He looks in fucking sick shape already. I don't know.
And also, he had that fight lined up with Kurt Seedis, so he would have probably lost a lot of fat up until that point, and then that got scrapped, and he probably just didn't go on a bender and drink loads and eat loads, and yeah, so this camp, I guess he's just been fine-tuning.
But he was training originally, if I remember correctly, he was training with Fury, right? In where was that? In Tenerife or Marbella? I don't know where the fuck they were.
Yeah, somewhere in Spain.
But yeah, so I mean, he was kind of getting into shape. But as soon as he went to the Ingle gym, I mean, what the fuck, man?
That's why the alarms have been raised, man, because the Ingles are known to be cutting a bit of weight quite quickly.
By the way, did you see that selfie of Ingle that's going around?
In the mirror?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. For a guy man, he's in great shape, man. But again, I think it's he's on something special.
Yeah, you don't think it's natty, right?
Nah, it's not natty at all, I think.
Ingle's pretty jacked, man, I must say. Good on him for his age. But, yeah, very suspect, man. But honestly, I'm just, I just want to see him in the ring again and see where he's at, man. Come on, get the fuck in there and then give us something to look forward to, because you've been nothing but a fucking fat bastard that's talked a bunch of shit, like way too much, while you Well, you haven't accomplished anything since you won the fucking belt. So
yeah, well, we're kind of previewing.
Get in there and do.
We're kind of previewing, and
what?
We are kind of previewing the upcoming weeks, and he is part of it. And I just don't think all this effort for the fight against Willie Monroe, whose style I don't think's going to gel with him. So it's just a bit of bad matchmaking, I think.
Well, it is a shitty match. You know, Kurtzidis versus him would have been much better. But who would you pick though, Cam? Do you trust Willie the Worm?
I like Willie the Worm. I just don't think like both guys kind of go backwards. So who's going to take the lead? That's my only concern. I don't want it to be like the Andy Lee fight where they're both kind of like moving a lot and fainting a lot, but not much is really happening.
It's probably what's going to happen. I don't think Willie has the dog in him where he's going to press the action and really, be the pressure fighter in this.
Well, and I think Willie's a little quicker than Billy Joe, so I think he's going to try to force Saunders to catch up to him.
I think Billy has the better boxing brain though. So.
Well, I think Saunders has a better work rate generally, so it's going to be kind of volume versus less volume, I guess. I don't know, volume versus. Slightly greater hand speed, I guess. It's a pretty even fight as far as I'm concerned, to be honest with you. Because I've never really thought all that highly of Billy Joe, and especially not after how he looked the last time out. So.
Yeah, I mean he struggled with opposition way lesser than Willie, right?
And I think Monroe is really a better fighter than a lot of people give him credit for. A lot of people like to use him as a fucking hammer to slam over the heads of Golovkin fans, but. I mean, honestly, I'd say Monroe is about as good as anybody else in the middleweight division, just about. I mean, outside of a few true top level guys,
He's a solid top 10 guy, I would say. He's been quite inactive though, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, man, it's. We'll probably. I mean, we're not gonna fucking stream that shit when we're in the US, Cam. I'm gonna prevent you from doing that.
Nah, bro.
I'm warning you up front.
I'm connecting my laptop
Why not?
to the TV in the hotel room and we're watching the whole card, bro. Come on, Pickford's on it, bro. How come you not?
Oh, he is? Okay, I changed my mind. Sorry.
Why not?
We will definitely do that.
All right.
All right, man.
Let's go.
You want to get into the main card?
Yeah, let's just quickly we'll go chronologically. So on the Friday, just get Neota's quick opinion and yours on the David Benavidez versus Ronald Gavril fight. Neota, man, who the hell is Ronald Gavril?
Well, he's a TMT fighter. I think he's from like Romania or something. But I mean, he's actually a pretty good fighter. He's a pretty good boxer. I've seen him fight before, and on some of those TMT cards or whatever. He only has one loss by decision. Not sure exactly how legit that was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he lost to Elvin Ayala, who isn't a very good fighter, to be honest with you. So I think that Benavidez will beat the shit out of Gavril and smoke him basically and become the new WBC super middleweight champion. Unfortunately, against slightly lesser opposition than he recently just fought. But I mean, that's kind of what happens when you fight a guy that's probably the best fighter in the division without a belt. So it'll basically be his victory lap, his crowning moment, and I'm sure he'll look very good doing it.
Yeah, Kimo, we touched upon this before we started, and we kind of both agreed that Benavidez is most likely going to ice the dude.
with a Dragon Ball Z type combination, probably.
Yeah, man. The one he did against Pokey was awesome. All right, let's get.
I don't know who the fuck his opponent is either, Cam. So I'm sure it'll be a nice coming out party.
He's been on some of the other Mayweather promotions card because this is all TMT guys. You got Jalen Love on there against Daniel Lim's cousin Abe Han.
Oh shit.
And Peter Quillen is on there making his return.
Is he at light heavy now?
And, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this one's booked at, if it's light heavy or super middle. I know it's definitely not middle because he was having a hell of a time making that to begin with. But his opponent hasn't been announced yet, so I don't know what's up.
Yeah, it's listed as light heavy, so.
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me. He was always a big guy, even for middleweight. So he was like 180 almost when he almost killed that guy.
That stripper.
Yeah.
He iced that, man. Jesus.
I felt bad for that dude, man.
I felt bad too, man. They took
Body.
him straight off the pole and chucked him in the ring, you know? What the fuck, man? Animal status.
Lions only.
All right, Kimo, let's go to the Saturday then. StubHub will be in the building, man. Great card, Superfly. We'll start off the top, really. Rematch between Roman Gonzalez and Rungvisai. How do you see the second fight playing out, Kimo?
Man, to be honest, I haven't even given that fight that much thought because I don't know. I'm slightly more pumped for the return of Estrada in terms of the novelty of the matchup. You know, like, don't get me wrong, I'm still like absolutely chuffed I'm going to see Chocolatito alive, but the other fight kind of, you know, took my attention a little bit. But actually thinking about this rematch, it's a difficult one because, you know, even though Gonzalez took control in that fight after a very rough start and really displayed, you know, the difference in skill, it's not necessarily beneficial for him to take a rematch now, I think, because he's getting older. You know, he's got more wear and tear, and this motherfucker, you know, the Thai can still punch, man, and he makes it a rough fight. You know, I don't think he's ever going to have an easy fight with him. He's got a great chin, and he looks much bigger than Gonzalez. You know, I noticed as well in the first fight that Gonzalez never really hurt him bad. You know, he never could really get him out of there, or at least to a point where there was, you know, maybe, you know, an indication of a stoppage. It was never like that. It's just if you look at their frames next to each other, Srishak had
bigger specimen.
So much, it looks so much bigger, man. Like the legs and everything. So I don't know. I still think it will be another rough fight. I don't think it's going to be easy. But at one point, the offense of Gonzalez will shine again, and hopefully this time, you know, he will get the right end of the decision. But it's not going to be an easy night, man. And you know, Sri Saket is the type of guy, I don't think you want to fight him, you know, the older you get. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I really hope he's successful, though, and he wins back his title, because that's really ultimately what is deserved.
What do you think, Nato?
I mean, I kind of agree with Kimo to a degree, but, you know, I thought that Gonzalez was able to adjust and kind of overcome Sisaket in the first fight. And so I think a big part of the reason why he struggled in the early rounds in that fight was because he just wasn't prepared to deal with somebody that was just that physical. You know, he had never fought that kind of animal before. You know, especially when you move up in weight and things like that. When you fight a guy that's just that much stronger than everybody else that you fought, or that can kind of match you in terms of strength, it completely kind of changes the circumstances of the game plan that you have to take. You know, even before the fight happened, I was saying that, you know, this is a dangerous fight for Gonzalez because it's almost like a Joe Frazier wading into the power of a George Foreman. You know, like with Saket being just a big, strong guy with an outright knockout punch like that. You know, the Gonzalez's style, which is high risk kind of to begin with, is even more so. You know, because it's like you really can't make any mistakes, because any one shot, even if it's not like a completely like hurting knockout shot, could just knock you off balance or get you in the wrong position, you know, in a bad way, kind of like it happened in the first fight, although there was kind of a head clash in the midst of the knockdown as well, with the body shot. But regardless of that, it's just, you know, he definitely had some issues with Sisaket in the early rounds of that fight, and I think in this fight he'll be better prepared to deal with that in a mental, like in a psychological sense, because, you know, he had never really fought against a guy that was able to not just stand his ground but even push him back in certain respects. But once he managed to get the timing together with it, you know, he was able to, I thought, handily win most of the later rounds, and should have came away with the decision. And if anything, you know, judges tend to kind of overcorrect whenever they hear a lot of outrage and uproar from a previous decision for a given fighter or a given couple of fighters. So if anything, Gonzalez would be more likely to get the benefit of the doubt if the judges happen to care about that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It really depends. But I do favor Gonzalez by, you know, a hard-fought and competitive decision. I mean, I could see him potentially stopping Sisaket too late if he manages to dig into the body enough. There were a couple of times where he had him reeling a bit. But Srisaket, being crafty, slick, was able to kind of utilize his strength, his head, different punches and things of that nature in order to kind of survive the shaky moments and just make it difficult for Gonzalez as a whole. He's a very gritty fighter as well. That's something that Gonzalez hasn't necessarily had to face a lot of, at least not recently. Srisaket is going to be a handful for anybody that's in the ring with him. That's just what it is. And especially so if, like Gonzalez, you're more of a front foot guy as opposed to Quadras, who was able to kind of spoil him. So it's going to be a great fight. I think, the first fight was one of the best fights of the year, and I'm sure that the second one won't be too much different in terms of visual action.
See, I don't see that stoppage happening at all, because for me, looking at them, in the ring, there's such a big difference between other guys that Chocolatito has punched and Srisaket, Like, you could just also kind of feel that there's so much less impact because he's so much bigger and tougher than all his other opposition, man.
Yeah, I get what
he
you're saying.
just didn't get moved that much,
like your Dragon Ball Z reference earlier. It's like he punched him right dead in the face, and like he just like looked at him. Looked at his fist as it fucking came off.
And nobody ever did that to Gonzalez, because Gonzalez was known for his fucking heavy hands, at the lighter weight. So
he was never like an outright one punch guy, but yeah. If he nailed you, you were feeling some type of way about it. Yeah, I mean, even when he fought Estrada, there was a couple of times where Estrada like had that kind of that look about him, like, oh shit, like I need to avoid getting hit with that again. And then, he would kind of technically maneuver himself in proper fashion. But with Srisaket, it's a little bit more basic. It's just like, I'm a big motherfucker that's strong as shit, and I'm going to try to, do some Provodnikov, Golovkin, like just walk through your shit and, take you out before you take me out, basically.
Yep.
Hamada jumped on the call. Are you there, Hamada? Hamada, what's happening, brother?
We are talking about that Superfly card.
We are indeed talking about rematch between Rungvisai and Choco. Have you got any thoughts?
That shit whacked like super dry.
That's a terrible joke.
That was fucking terrible. Come on, Robbie. You can do better than that. Come on.
Come on, Robbie. I'm not fucking having it no more.
Let's talk about that later, man. Either have something to add on the card or mute yourself until we get to Canelo Golovkin.
Sorry, man. I'll pass on this one.
No problem. Yeah, my opinion, just on the fight itself, I think it'll be much of the same. Obviously, the early knockdown and the head clash and just the amount of blood that was going into Choco's eyes. And the multiple kind of head clashes as well, because I think he had two cuts very close to each other.
Cut.
And
one over the eye and one high up on the forehead.
Yeah,
by the hairline.
You guys are totally right. Just the size difference is very noticeable, and as many clean punches that Choco landed, like I didn't really see one point where Rungvisai was hurt. And he is very open to the head, man. His hands are low, not much head movement, and like he was landing clean on him. So I think maybe if Choco just maybe, I don't see the fight playing out any differently. I think it'd just be more of the same. And if a few things that don't happen, like the early knockdown, like the head clash, but I think they're gonna clash heads again. It's just the style, like Rungvisai kind of head down and he throws punches. Choco's always involved in head clashes, just from his style as well. When he throws so many punches and you're always kind of like bobbing left and right, you always get caught with a head. Again, it's Southpaw versus Orthodox again, which is a common head clash style of fight. And yeah, I think it'll be a tear up, and I think it'll be a good fight. I think Choco will pip it this time, but yeah, I haven't really got anything else to add.
All right, man. Let's go to the, I think it's the co-main, right?
Yeah, man. Estrada versus Kudras.
Fucking hell, eh? How about a fight? I'm so pumped to have Estrada back in the ring. Man.
Yeah, me too.
Really. And especially at an elite level, right? I don't want to see this guy fight fucking nobodies. I am a little bit worried, though, about this style matchup, right? Because Estrada is, a type of, a Marquez type of guy that needs to gel with a with a come forward offensive fighter to really, really let himself shine. And Cuadras is not that, right? He's a mover. He's an awkward guy. Throws punches from crazy angles. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure if it's going to be, exciting. It's probably going to be a chess match. But I know Cuadras is bigger. I know he probably has more output. Well, he does have more output. I don't think anybody has more output than him. But I gotta go with the guy who I think is just so technically sound, man. I mean, Estrada's style is just fucking beautiful, man. It really is like boxing perfection for me. And yeah, I think he might struggle a little bit with the style, but in the end, I think he's gonna hit the cleaner, more beautiful shots, and that's gonna get him the decision. So I'd probably go with Estrada by decision.
Yeah, for me, I was so impressed with Kudras against Choco. Just the movement, the amount of punches he was throwing. And I think Estrada's going to find it difficult just getting close to him. I think he prefer him to be right in his face, and he's not going to do that, man. Kudras is going to be on the back foot. And Estrada's just really going to have to go to the body and try and slow his feet down. I want Estrada to win. I'm a big fan, but I could see maybe Kudras getting the win just from, like, I don't want to say shoe shining, but just throwing a lot of punches, catching the eye of the judges, more volume, more output. Having said that, Estrada throws so many punches as well, but I think coming forward, he's not really as effective as he is either in the pocket or going slightly backwards.
And Cuadras' punches are a lot flashier. They're the stuff that catches your eye and you stay on Cuadras, what he's throwing. It's like the... one of those things where it's like you stop watching the fight and you start watching a fighter. That's the type of things that he does in there. Because of the flashiness of it. And in certain instances that can kind of hide certain technical deficiencies. And I think that there is a fair gap in terms of technical ability and brilliance and stuff between these two. I think Estrada, in terms of, kind of like Kimo said, in terms of angles and timing. And being able to counter in combination repeatedly, again and again. He's basically unmatched. He's basically the best in the sport. Cuadras, the X factor for Cuadras is going to be if he can make that kind of wild style, that ability to improvise work for him, and that's his hand and foot speed work for him. I could see him kind of trying to almost do like what Bradley did to Marquez.
I was just thinking about that, Nikki. I was just thinking about the same fucking matchup.
Yeah, it's like he just stays just outside of range and is able to kind of dictate it with, just kind of sharp, shots up the middle and then getting out of the way. Because the thing is, if he lingers on the inside, Estrada's, he'll just land the sharper punches. Everything is going to land, and it's going to land clean and powerful, and that'll wind up catching the eye of the judges. The other thing Cuadras could potentially do is go right at Estrada and basically try to, flurry at him and then jump out and, almost do like what Gamboa used to do back when he was in his prime and stuff. Just be so, rambunctious and physical and out of control that maybe Estrada's not completely not capable of dealing with it, but not prepared to deal with it. Almost the way that kind of Gonzalez wasn't against both Cuadras and Srisaket, because he had never fought either of those guys that physical in the strength sense with Srisaket, but in the speed and the stamina sense with Cuadras. With the fact that Cuadras is able to pretty much out-stamina Chocolatito was extremely impressive. The stamina on that dude is insane. So, I wouldn't put it past him to be able to maybe even do something similar to Estrada, be able to steal some early rounds with the speed and then be able to potentially outlast him in the later rounds with the stamina and being able to just kind of measure out distance and spoil him in the later rounds. And in the midst of trying to figure out exactly how to time Cuadras, Estrada could be down 2-0, 3-0, 4-1, and basically have to dig himself out of a hole in late rounds that he may not have enough of in order to make up the gap. I could see that potentially happening. But that said, I do still slightly favor Estrada. I just think that, the timing, once it's there and once he gets into a rhythm, it's really difficult to take him out of that. But if anybody was to potentially do it, I would say that Cuadras could be somebody like that. Not unlike the way that kind of Gonzalez was. This is a battle of the two guys basically that probably have the best argument for having said that they beat Gonzalez, or they got the better of him. Although for two different reasons. You know, Estrada because of his ability, his boxing ability, and Cuadras because of just his athleticism, his physical gifts, and being able to make use of that. So, you know, it's really a toss-up between these two. I slightly favor Estrada, but, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I just changed my mind completely when they actually weigh in, seeing how they kind of look next to each other. Because, you know, Estrada isn't as big of a guy as Cuadras. You know, Estrada, even though he was, like, shredded like nobody's business at 108 and 112, he wasn't, like, a big guy. You know, he was just very lean. But he doesn't have that look like Cuadras or Srisaket where he's, like, a truly, like, next size up or a couple of sizes up from, you know, Gonzalez. He always looked like he was maybe just a little bit bigger than him in comparison. So if anything, Cuadras will likely be like the slightly more physically imposing of the two in there. But yeah, you know, it remains to be seen, and I'm really hyped for this fight. Like, to me, this is easily the best fight of the card and the best fight of the year. Really.
Yeah, for me, for the card, definitely. Just because we've seen Gonzalez versus Rungvisai before, it's not as intriguing, but this is a fresh fight. And most of us are high on both guys, so fingers crossed it turns out to be a good fight. In a way, Naoto, his opponent, I've asked you this before, but is he any good, or is it basically just a fight for Naoto? For Inoue to look good in the States?
That's funny. You mixed up his name with mine. Interesting thing about Nieves is, if I was to compare him to somebody, I would kind of compare him to Sullivan Barrera, in terms of not only his skill set, but also in terms of, you know, kind of stepping up and fighting a guy in a way not too dissimilar from Ward in comparison to the past opponents that he's fought. Interestingly enough, his last fight he actually lost. Nieves did, although that was at bantamweight. Nieves has fought pretty much as a floater, like at bantamweight, super bantam, even as high as featherweight. Here he got the opportunity to fight Inoue at super flyweight, which I think was kind of the weight that he was trying to get to from the jump originally, but I guess he didn't necessarily have the matchmakers to get him the fights where he really wanted to be at. The guy, interestingly enough, he works 3 full-time jobs, or he did at least up until this fight. So, I mean, that might have been possible reason for the split decision loss in his last fight. But that loss was also to an undefeated prospect, a guy that was a really high-level amateur in his own right. So it's kind of hard to judge. But just based off of what I've seen of Nieves, I think that he's really not that far above, or maybe not even above at all, some of the guys that Inoue's fought recently. If you compare him to David Carmona or Koei Kono or the guys like that. Really, what Nieves has that might give Inoue a trouble is a constant jab. He throws a jab, like tons and jabs. He leads everything behind the jab. He's throwing about 4 or 5 jabs in a row before he throws anything else. So that could potentially give him some trouble. But I could very easily see Inoue, looking to counter over that with the big right hand and hooks and uppercuts underneath and things like that. I think Inoue is going to shine. I think you can pretty much put anybody in there against Inoue, except for the very best of the best guys, and Inoue is going to just completely, dog walk him. He's going to destroy him. It's going to be exciting to watch and very entertaining, because Inoue is the type of fighter that can fight any way he chooses to. He's like Mayweather back when Mayweather was at 130. He could fight coming forward, fight going backward, fight on the inside, fight on the outside, counter punch with you, shoulder roll, high guard it and dog it out on the inside. He can pretty much do everything. That he's probably one of the best, if not the best, most versatile fighter in the game.
He's going to shine
very, very
in the
versatile.
StubHub with his purple hair.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was pretty funny. Looking like Trunks from DBZ.
Yep. All right, you guys got anything else regarding this card?
No, I'm just pumped to see Inoue as well. Yeah, but to be honest, I don't really know the opposition either. But it sounds to me like he's gonna fucking walk through him, just from the way Naoto was describing it, man. But
I can't wait to go to this.
I do think the Mayweather at 135 comparison is a little bit much. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's good, but he ain't that good. Like that's a once in a lifetime talent that we saw at 135.
Well, I'm talking about first of all at 130, not 135. But secondly, when he caught is
130.
I'm talking about like where that was back before Mayweather had really proven all that he would eventually prove. It's like where you saw those first glimpses of brilliance in his ability. That's where I see Inoue. That's pretty much where it was coming from with that.
But yo, Kimo, I can't wait to go to the StubHub, man. Bucket list.
I can't fucking wait either, man. Sit there with a cerveza and just fucking go nuts, man. Shout out to Ski Mask and Rob Palmer from Los Angeles.
Yeah,
we're gonna meet there as well.
Oh. Kimo.
Yeah, I probably won't have it that much in the StubHub, but in Canelo Golovkin, yeah, I'm gonna need a pair of man diapers, man, because I'm gonna fucking shit myself when that shit goes down. Oh my god.
Let's move on. Same day as the Superfly card, Saturday the 9th in Germany, we got the first fight in the Cruiserweight Super Series, Usyk versus Hook. Just quickly, Kimo, what's your thoughts on that fight?
You know what? I didn't even realize it was the same week. That's kind of snuck up on me, actually. Yeah, I'm fucking pumped for that tournament, just like all of you, man. Hook against Usyk. Hook's done, man. What can I say? I'm really not that high on Usyk. Everybody seems to think that this is the next fucking gift of boxing. I don't really see that. Kind of repeating what I said before. I think it's impressive the way he moves, given the size that he's at. But I'm not very convinced by the way he puts his punches together. I think it's all a little bit amateur style in terms of just tap tap. He's not really sitting down on his punches, and I think he just lacks power in general. But this should be an easy victory for him. Honestly, I know Hook's a tough motherfucker, but at this point, I would not be surprised if he can get a stoppage out of it. It's not going to be a clean knockout, but just, an accumulation of punches over 12 rounds that just, Hook's corner just says, man, you've had enough, man. You've been through so many wars in your life. Enough is enough. You got a guy who's big, athletic, and who hopefully is going to put quite a few punches together. Just protect the guy at some point. I think it's admirable that Hook has put himself in this tournament. I mean, the guy is just crazy, but yeah, I don't think he really has much of a chance here, Cam.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the first few rounds, Usyk will be that kind of tippy-tappy, not really much weight behind his punches, and then after the 6th, 7th, I think he'll start just loading up a bit more. And Hook has that high guard, but the very frontal high guard. So the hooks, especially the southpaw hook around his left arm, just start catching him clean on around the ear, around the temple and stuff. And I think he eventually, Usyk, I think he maybe be able to break him down, and then maybe just like you say, a corner stoppage after he just starts taking a beating. So yeah, Hamada, you want to talk about this, or should I just ask Naoto?
Nah, I want to talk about it. Finally, the World Boxing Super Series will begin. The opening fight, Usyk versus Huck.
Wow, you recapped it.
You sound so excited, man.
Huck is fucking shot, mate. He's shot to fucking pieces, and he's gonna get iced. Usyk's gonna ice him probably in 8 or 9 rounds. Huck is fucking shot, man. Who did Huck fight last? I watched his last fight, and he was terrible, man. He was just holding his shit, man, just surviving. Who was it he fought?
Marius Bradis.
Yeah. He was terrible in that fight, man. He was just fucking awful. He lost every round. He was just fighting not to get knocked out, and I think he'll probably do the same again in this fight. But Usyk's just better than Bradis, so he's gonna step around and do all that Lomachenko shit that Nauta hates.
The thing about when Usyk does it though is that I don't know if it's possible to look agile and athletic and clumsy at the same time. Because when Lomachenko does it, at least there's some cleanliness to it. It's at least you kind of see that what he's trying to do, he intended on it. With Usyk, it almost looks like he's kind of falling over and then catching himself.
I don't know about clumsiness, but I do agree that Loma looks a little bit. I don't know. He just looks more effective. There's more of an offensive threat
It's more
as
fluid.
opposed to Usyk, who just looks a bit stale. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like
yeah,
Which is weird because he's the
210 pounds.
fucking bigger guy. You know what I mean?
He's 210 pounds. Like, I mean, when you see a big guy doing those kind of things, it does look a bit awkward. And
Yeah.
No, I mean, but Fury was able to kind of do some of it, and he didn't look that.
Fury
comfortable.
does look a bit clumsy when he's fighting as well.
Yeah, it does look weird, you know. Fury's kind of dancing around. It just looks weird to see such a fucking huge guy do that.
But I mean, he's a bigger unit than Usyk is. You know, I mean, I give him a slight bit more of a pass than Usyk.
Yeah. But finish your thoughts, Amanda. Unless that was it.
That's it, man. Just Huck is done, and that's gonna get stopped. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, Amar, does anyone actually in the UK picks up the rights for these tournaments? Because it's crept up on us, and I don't think any channel is going to be airing at the moment. So unless it's going to be a last-minute deal.
I'm not sure either, to be honest. I haven't read anything. We just have to wait and see, man.
It's gonna be the day of you find out.
Yeah, the day
Don't know
of,
how we're gonna watch it though.
The day of, you have to pay £20 pay-per-view.
Why is Sky not jumping on this, man? I don't fucking understand it.
Bro, Richard Schaefer's wheeling and dealing, man. He's about to.
It's her. Need a fucking
Swiss money.
icon.
But Cam, the super middle ones are being aired, right? I mean, Groves has to be on Sky, I assume, right?
It's not. It's not
announced
confirmed.
at the moment.
None of
Yeah,
them.
and you think
Aaron Smith's fighting the week after, the same night as Canelo and that.
Yeah,
and we don't even know what channel it's on.
Yeah, you think it should be on Sky, but there's nothing being announced yet. So unless they kind of fine-tune in the contract, it's kind of weird that they've left it so late.
It's because I'll tell you what it is. Hearn basically wants to cherry pick each fight that he wants to put on Sky. The WBSS are telling him, no, if you take one fight, you have to take all of them, which is right. I mean, like, you look at, for example, BT Sport. I'll give you an example, BT Sport in the Champions League. Can you imagine if BT Sport said to the UEFA, we don't want the group stages, we only want the knockouts? Like, no, you got to take the group stages. So fucking take it all, mate. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're trying to say it's too much fight nights. So, you got fuck all coming on. You got Next Gen on every fucking week.
Exactly. I prefer these high-level cruiserweight and super middleweight fights over fucking Next Gen and some of the shitty cards that he's been providing.
What was the Super 6 aired on British television at the time or not?
I think it was ITV, most of it.
I mean, Froch was not on Sky at that time yet, right? I mean, I don't remember that.
I don't remember. I think it weren't even on British TV. Boxing was dead back then.
No, I think the Brits. I think when Froch was involved, I'm sure it was on ITV or ITV4 or some shit like that. It was definitely on.
I don't recall that, Cam. I think you might be off there. But either way, it's really weird because you have a series of fights which are, again, I don't know the price tag on it and the inside business, whatever. But like Hamada said, there's fuck all going on Sky at the moment, and
I'm pretty sure the payouts are like $50 million in total for everybody that's involved. Depending on who wins and loses, something like that. Yeah, so it's a lot of money.
The only ones I remember, Cam, from the Super 6 was Froch versus Ward.
Taylor.
That was Sky.
That was Sky. I'm just looking at Abraham. That was on prime time.
And the other one, Froch had another fight in the Super 6 that was on Sky. Who did Froch fight?
Jermaine Taylor.
No. I think it was Glenn Johnson.
Did he fight Johnson?
The Glenn Johnson fight was on Sky.
That was on Sky,
yeah.
Well, still,
the early ones,
again,
the Durrell and that, I don't think was, like you said, prime time and shit. So, yeah.
Why can't we have that instead of fucking prospects knocking out fucking taxi drivers? Sponsored by JD Sports.
He's a fucking tight cunt, and he keeps saying things like, "Who knows who the fuck Dorticos is and Kudrashov? We don't know who they are." Well, that fight's going to be it's going to be a fucking.
That fight is going to be incredible.
Don't want to pick it up. Do you know what I mean? He's a
that
fucking tight cunt. This is why I hate Eddie Hearn, bro. Like, you've got nothing fuck all going on. Your Saturday night shows are fucking terrible. They're fucking shit, mate. but you don't want to pick up this tournament, which is what we need. Like, do you know what I mean? This is what we want. But oh no, man, he's a fucking cunt.
There's no financial vested interest for him in those cruiserweights, right? There's no guy that's really signed by him or will be facing a guy that's signed by him, so he doesn't really
Pretty
give
much.
a fuck, right?
Yep.
But you know what, the way he's talking is like, if he wants to pick up, for example, in the super middleweight, that's like his kind of feel, because obviously he's got Callum Smith, JB Cox, etc., etc. Like, for example, if Groves and Eubank do end up getting through their fight to fight each other, Hearn wants that fight so he can fucking stick it on pay-per-view. Like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, pick up the whole thing. All right, pick up the whole thing, pick up all of them. At the end of the day, you can sell it to the public as it's a tournament, a boxing tournament. It's what's the phrase I'm looking for? I can't even think.
Well, there's a storyline there, right? I mean,
yeah.
Again, if you have
like, it's an innovation, it's creative, it's something creative, it's something out of the box, something out of the ordinary.
Not just that it's creative, but not just that it's creative, but I mean, you know who the next fighter is gonna fight right after they're done fighting.
Exactly.
That's something that doesn't normally happen.
The super middle one really surprises me because there's so many British guys involved. You know, that's the one that baffles me a little bit, because you can really build a storyline around that. You know, you can actually watch it as it progresses, and then, you know, you come to a grand finale, which hopefully is Groves versus Eubank. You know, sign me up. I'd fucking love that fight.
No, but you see what it is, Keeper. You can't get the super middle without taking the cruiserweight. So you have to take both tournaments. You have to take
package
both.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a package deal. You have to take them all. If you want one fight, you have to take them all.
But,
do you know what I mean?
Oh, is it? I didn't even know that.
And Han don't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? He don't want to do that.
Yeah, but Hamada, he does want to do that, but he's serving as the battle on the Mersey with the rematch between Paul Butler and Stuart Hall that everyone was asking for. Everyone wanted that fight.
Look, there's world titles on the line. Like, in the cruiserweight one, the winner is the undisputed champion. And you're turning that down because you want to fucking put on Masha Dodd versus Tom Stalker. I mean, who gives a fuck about that shit? And fucking O'Hara Davis versus Farrell. What's his name? Farrell, whatever his name is.
He's taking your lead, Hamada.
It's bullshit. Like nobody don't want this shit.
He's being like you.
Serving it up to these casuals, and you can make these casuals watch real world championship boxing, titles on the line, number one in the division on the line. But no, Eddie Hearn has to be his little money making fucking tight cunt, always thinking about money and greed.
Kimo, do you get the impression?
What should you think about?
Kimo, do you get the impression Hamada didn't come on to preview anything? He just wanted to shit on Eddie Hearn.
Well, we kind of drove him there a little bit, right?
I didn't even plan to. It's just annoying. Do you know what I mean? Like that. Obviously, you brought up this World Boxing Super Series. It's just frustrating, man. Because we might not end up getting to watch these fights, Cam. We're gonna have to fucking stream them and watch it on fucking Latvian television and Polish television, and it's fucking long, man.
Welcome to my world.
To be honest, Cam, like, I never really do this, you know, this Hearn pay-per-view rant that you guys do, but I kind of feel for you in this sense, because if we really put it next to each other, like the whole Masher Dodd card kind of hit me in the face a little bit. You know, it's like, damn, like there's a real big gap in quality that you're fucking paying for. It might not be pay-per-view, you know, but I've lived in the fucking UK, man. Sky is expensive to have, you know. It's not like you're not paying for it, you know. You're having fucking proper packaged channels that you want some good content on, and you're getting something which nobody, frankly, gives a flying fuck about. Like, all I know that Matchroom have planned right now is that card, the Battle on the Mercy side or whatever, and the Ryan Burnett fight, which is meh, you know, like whatever.
And Crawler Burns, who no one really wanted either.
Oh yeah, that as well, which is
but Kimo, you see what it is with Hearn. The reason why
don't shit on that Ryan Burnett fight, man. That's a good fight. That's a good fight.
You know,
Yeah, but it's not a high level, like, fair enough. It's a unification, right? But it's still not like, you know,
Yeah,
it doesn't
not
knock
like
it out of the
it's not the
park.
two best champions. It's two of the kind of the also.
you see Kimo, you see what Hearn's, you know what Hearn's doing? He knows that. You see this whole paying for Sky Sports bullshit. Like you've just said, we pay for Sky Sports. I don't, but other people do. But the way he looks at it is like, you don't pay for Sky Sports for boxing. Because the person that has Sky Sports is getting Sky Sports for other reasons, such as the Premier League, such as
Darts.
all this other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Darts. But they're getting it for those reasons, and boxing's like kind of like a bonus. So like he's using it as like boxing is a bonus. So I don't really have to put my best stuff on Saturday nights because it's just a bonus. It's something they get with their Sky Sports pack. But like still, it's like us as boxing fans who obviously want to see good boxing on Sky. I'm not getting it, and then everything's getting flushed onto pay-per-view. I mean, it's just a fucking joke, man. And I'm just tired of this bullshit, man.
It is quite sad, man. I mean, this really it really highlights a missed opportunity here. But yeah, Eddie Hearn is the type of guy. If there's no money in it for him, what the fuck is he gonna do? He's not gonna invest in it.
Like, you watched that card Next Gen the other day. Like, I didn't watch it, but it must have been terrible, man. Just watching these prospects knock people out left, right, and center. I mean,
but they didn't even knock him out.
Really?
There was a lot of sloppiness and like just not very exciting action. But man, I don't look, man. I don't pay to watch that, right? I stream that shit and I just talk shit on Twitter. That's what I do. Like, I just have fun with it. You know, I don't take it that seriously. But if I had a Sky Sports subscription and I was a boxing fan and I don't watch football or darts or whatever, then I would be fucking pissed. Yeah, I'd be raging. But obviously, if that was the case, I would unsubscribe immediately and not pay for that shit anymore. I refuse. I've never once. I mean, I don't really have much pay-per-view fights in this country anyway. The only ones that we have are the really big ones like Mayweather, McGregor, and the AJ one that was also here. But apart from that, like, I would never put myself in a situation where I'm paying for something that, you know, I'm out of principle, I'm against. You know, I'd never fucking do that. Then I'll just fucking find a crappy stream and enjoy it that way. Fuck that, dude.
The thing is, at least, for example, the guys that have Box Nation, I can understand why they pay for Box Nation, because they're paying for the international content. So, for example, they get to watch all the good stuff. And barely even fucking, and Sky barely even fucking get international content. Like, I know recently they had Crawford and Dongo, and I think they had Garcia Brona, but like, they all have one international fight every 3 months or every 2 months, like, whereas Box Nation are picking up international fights every week. So I understand that. Do you know what I mean? But Sky's just fucking shit, mate, man. It's just, yeah, man. Sky Boxing is terrible, man. And yeah,
I do agree, but they have got that Superfly card next week, so props to them. I'm surprised Box Nation. Yeah, I'm surprised Box Nation.
Yeah, do you know why though?
Why?
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 Because Kalyafai is a world champion in that division. If Kalyafai weren't a world champion in that division, they wouldn't pick up.
You know what? He's going to be in the studio, isn't it? Commentating.
Exactly. He's going to be in the studio commentating, and he's not going to fight none of them cunts anyway. He's going to stay in Birmingham and fight terrible opposition, because obviously Hearn needs that Birmingham market. Eggington is on the edge. If Eggington gets in there with anyone semi-decent, he's losing. So you got to keep your fight champion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and your fight will say, I'll fight any of them and then fight none of them.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why they picked it up. That's what they do. They pick up, like, for example, they'll pick up super middleweight fights or certain divisions where they've got fighters in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't pick up, like, a random fight, like, do you know what I mean, that's got nothing to do with anyone in the matchroom. They just wouldn't do that.
No, that is true. That I've noticed that trend as well. But let's move on to the fight that, like, majority of boxing fans are, like, just, I don't know, super hyped about, man. Golovkin, Canelo. I'll bring Lim back in because Lim wanted to get back on for this portion of the show. So, Daniel. You want to get your hand raised?
Yo, hold on.
That's a bit rude, isn't it?
I'll jump.
Your line's terrible. I'll go to Chemo. Chemo.
Cam, I feel almost emotional talking about it because we're actually going to be in the fucking building, which is kind of surreal.
I know, I can't wait.
Chimo's going to be like Jim Lampley. You're going to be crying all choked up at the end of the fight.
Well, honestly, man, I'm not so sure if I'm going to fucking survive this shit. Cav, you need to like slap me once in a while. Just like control yourself, man. Seriously. It's gonna be lit, man. And by the way, I've actually been doing a little bit of thinking about the undercard as well. We're getting some treats with that, man. We're gonna talk about that later. But yeah, this main event, man. What a cracking fight. I mean, I've given it so much thought, and yes, I'm riding the Canelo train a little bit. But frankly, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I really don't. All I know is that I've definitely seen some slippage in Triple G. I just think he's in his last couple of fights. Yes, he's fought good guys, better opposition. But I think he's looked a little flat. Is that a real big decline? No, but I think he is getting there slowly, and he's 35 years old. I've noticed that his punch.
It is a reason for concern.
It is a reason for concern when you're facing a guy like Canelo, and I'll get to him in a little bit because he's also got his factors involved, but. It is definitely a reason for concern. I've noticed that his punch selection has changed a little bit. He's not as free and as loose punching as he's been before. And even when he lets his hands go, for example, against Brook, I didn't think he looked good. And again, we can point that to a lot of things, bad hotel, jet lag, blah 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 blah. He wasn't being treated right. I don't know if any of that shit is true, but I do see a little bit of a trend. And again, a trend is a bit hard to conclude of only a couple of fights, but I do see it happening, and it does cause for concern a little bit. And I don't think we're going to see the Golovkin, that came out, against Macklin and just going to fold him in half and break his fucking ribs. I think that guy is kind of gone, man, to be honest. I still think he's got obviously great power. He's still got a fantastic jab. And that brings me to the main factor of this fight. I think it's going to be the jab. I don't think Golovkin's going to necessarily, have a very aggressive plan of attack. I think he's going to put the jab on him, and it's about how Canelo deals with that. And I think Canelo's game plan is going to be to push him back now. I don't think he's going to try to box. I think he realizes that the only way to beat this guy is to push him back. He doesn't have Danny Jacobs' movement or legs. And frankly, he never really does that, right? He's more of a stationary fighter that does like the counter punch, but it's more of a forward momentum, plant your feet, upper body movement, type of style. So I think he's going to press the attack. And I think he realizes that's the only way. And if he can control that jab a little bit and get his shots off, go to the body, and frankly, just hit Triple G in the face, man. This is something that I really want to see because Brook did it, but he's a fucking welterweight. Jacobs did it only like a little bit. Like sometimes he would have flashy combinations that landed, but I didn't feel like he
wasn't turning over.
Yeah, he was slapping a little bit, and it wasn't commitment. Like he was just. You could feel it, it wasn't like he really truly stood his ground and was like, okay, now I'm going to fucking, put a hurting on you. And I think Canelo will do that. I don't know if he has the power enough to push Triple G back. Again, a lot of different factors, does he have the same chin? He's 35. How is he going to take his punch? Canelo is not a concussive puncher, but you have to respect his power. He has good power. Yeah. So I think Canelo's going to stand in the pocket. I think he's going to fucking hit him in the face. And then what's going to happen? I have no fucking clue, but either it's going to be a fight and, Golovkin's going to be affected, or we're going to get that psychopathic smile, and he's just going to walk forward, and then then Canelo has a problem, because if he can't hurt this guy, if he can't at least make him respect him, he's in deep shit.
Yeah,
he really is, especially with that shady cardio of his.
To two of your points, one about pushing him back and one about standing in the pocket, I think neither of them are going to do Canelo any good. I think if he stands in the pocket and tries to trade, he's getting iced, and I just don't think he's physical enough to kind of push Triple G back. But I do agree with the jab. Like, the jab was used so systematically against Lemieux, and he just broke him down with the jab, man. And then once he started to fade a bit, then the right hands were coming in, left hook to the body. But his performance against Jacobs, like, I think a lot of people agree, was a bit lackluster. He was a bit robotic, kept doing the same things even though they weren't working. But the Lemieux fight, it wasn't that long ago, so if you can kind of bring that mind frame back against Canelo, I think, in theory, Golovkin should win quite easily. But as you said, there's so many variables and things to consider. I mean, I just hope it's a great fight, man.
I don't see how it could not be a great fight, honestly.
Come on, Cam. Don't ever even slightly even make an indirect comparison of Lemieux to Canelo, bro. Come on.
Lemieux landed some bigger shots on Triple G, and they really didn't have much effect. So I don't think.
But that's not the point, though. It's the actual boxing ability and the ability to throw quicker punches while Triple G's throwing combinations, and that's the biggest issue that I have. And I think I'm so conflicted right now making a prediction, because I hate both of you and Cam, or Kimo and Cam, so much that I want to disagree with both of you guys, but then I won't be beating anybody. But no, I think this fight is going to be good, but there's so many variables that are just completely unknown. And like, I disagree with some of Kimo's points. I disagree with a lot of your points, Cam. So I don't know where exactly I'm lying, but I just think it's a little bit premature to say that it's even slightly a trend for Triple G to be declining. I don't know. I just think his fighting style and the way that he throws punches is a style that's actually, it doesn't deteriorate as quickly as the other styles. So I don't think he's...
It's a style that's very dependent on the opponent's style, too.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm about to get into. But I think in addition to that, it's just that Canelo is also a style that Triple G really hasn't faced, and that he's a pretty good fighter in a lot of different avenues, even though he's not as great as Jacobs is in terms of obviously moving around. So I think it's going to be a style that neither fighter has really seen before, so which makes obviously for a very compelling fight. But I think on paper, I think the smart decision is to go with Triple G, because I think he's still in probably the moonlight era of his prime, and he's a bigger guy. I think one thing that people kind of often forget is that this is Canelo's first real fight at 160. His fight against Chavez at 164, that doesn't count. That's a freak show of a fight. Chavez was awful in that fight, and it showed us absolutely nothing about Canelo. So I think this is asking a lot for a guy who's never fought at 160 before. And just because my boy is looking big and has big traps and a big back or whatever the case may be, I still think Golovkin is going to be more physical. And one thing that I do agree with Cam is I think in the clinches and in the moments that Canelo does get tired, he's not going to have the power and just the inner strength to push Golovkin back in a place where he's uncomfortable. So I think this is a fight where Golovkin ultimately will be able to overcome in the later rounds, because his conditioning is going to be better, and I think he's just going to be able to overwhelm Canelo, not necessarily by his power and punches, but rather just his strength as a fighter.
Interesting. So what's to go next? Because I can talk all fucking day about this fight.
I will. Like to kind of Lim's points. The thing is, Canelo, like in terms of being once he gets his hands moving, the combinations, they actually do come reasonably quickly. Even though I wouldn't say that he has really fast hands, from on the first shot. I'd say once his hands start moving, they actually come pretty nice, and with a lot of power and also a lot of sharpness. So it's like you can't necessarily just make a direct comparison between his power and say like Lemieux's, because Lemieux's is a lot wider, Alvarez is a lot more sharper. And with him, he's also throwing a combination, and it's also more accurate. Like Lemieux is just trying to hit you with anything, just trying to club you, trying to bludgeon you. Alvarez, he's placing his punches a little bit more in an educated fashion. That said, though, Even though Lim was talking about like, oh, they're gonna fight styles that they haven't necessarily seen before, and I kind of do agree with that in large part. I think that Alvarez has such a chip on his shoulder for a number of reasons. Even going outside of the ring, he's gonna go in there and he's gonna try and body Golovkin. He's gonna go in there, I think, and try to do what Abner Mares tried to do to Leo Santa Cruz, and just go in there and really like push him on the back foot and try to bully him. And I think that's going to be ultimately his downfall, because once he gets into that fight, he's not going to take a backward step, and he's going to get hurt really badly doing it. Which isn't to say that he's not going to have success doing it. I think he probably will. There'll probably be, especially in the early rounds, be a couple of occasions where he lands a nice looking combination on Golovkin. But I think that Golovkin, he kind of fights to the level of his opponent, and depending on the style of his opponent also. I think just because Jacobs made Golovkin, look bad, quote unquote, doesn't necessarily mean that, it's open season on Golovkin now. Jacobs, unto himself, is a very good fighter, and the things that he did in that fight are things that very few fighters have been shown themselves capable of doing at all. So, I can't, just judge him, pass judgment on Golovkin based off of one fight with Daniel Jacobs, who, even if you want to talk about power, nobody has just that first round knockout win style of victory over Quillen the way that he did. In comparison to any other opponent that any of these other guys have fought. So, that says a lot about Golovkin, too, in terms of being able to even take some of Jacobs' punches, even though Jacobs was being a bit of a slap boxer in a lot of occasions during that fight. But, I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be very entertaining. People call me a Canelo hater, and maybe I am a little bit. I don't particularly like him or his fan base. And ultimately, I think it's going to be fun. In part because I'm pretty certain that Golovkin's going to beat his ass. But, that's not to say that I don't think Alvarez is a very talented fighter, and he's managed to improve since, he kind of first burst onto the scene. The last couple of years, he's definitely improved. A lot of people, like even myself, I've criticized him and shit for not looking kind of lackluster against Cotto and, losing to a smaller guy in Mayweather. But, if they were to fight again, Alvarez beats him. Alvarez beats Mayweather nowadays. Part of that is because Mayweather slipped, but also part of that is because Alvarez is improved. But, it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be really entertaining. I think Alvarez is going to ultimately maybe get some more of the respect that he's always been seeking in a loss than he ever has gained it in any of his victories.
Yeah.
And if he beats Golovkin, then he'll finally have truly done something to prove the worth of all the shit that has been the hype behind him for the past 5, 6, 7 years. All the people that were kind of crowning him this amazing fighter or this pound for pound great before it was ever happened. This is the time for him to actually prove that.
Yeah, I don't think he will win. So, to more of the former of your point, I think he'll, as long as he puts the effort in and he, he tries to maybe go for the win, then I think in a loss he'll come out looking better. Because he's actually gone in there with the Golovkin and he's tried, man. He's not like fucking ducked him like he has for the last 2 years. But Hamada, how do you see this fight playing out?
Fuck you, Cam. You ain't shit, bro. You're just over there hating in your corner, bro. Just fucking with Canelo looking so thick and looking so heavy-handed on the mitts. You're so jealous, bro. You're so bitter, man. Don't let that cloud your judgment on the fight, dude. That's not very professional of you.
What were you saying to me last week, man? You're no longer on the Canelo bandwagon. So
he's not even picking Canelo, man.
It's not rich coming from you.
About, dude?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking
those
about?
Those are private conversations, man. Don't dirt up dirty laundry like that, bro. Come on. That's not professional, dude.
Hamada, go ahead.
Yeah, come on, lads. Let me bang, bro. Let me bang.
Go on.
Yeah, man. Canelo's gonna get iced. Ice. Canelo's gonna get iced. Indoor round.
Oh shit.
Indoor round.
On a serious note.
In a ring.
I don't see how Canelo wins, man. I just think in order for Canelo to win, he has to do things he's never done before in his illustrious career. I mean, Canelo's has such an illustrious career. He's had over 50 fights. I just realized that the other day. I mean, is it over 50? I think he's on 50 fights. I think I'm wrong there, but I mean, for a guy to have that much fights at his age, he must have beat up a lot of taxi drivers, man. A lot of tomato cans. A lot of small
52
guys.
fights, by the way. 52.
Huh?
52 fights.
Fucking yeah, man. And then they say Triple G's the guy that beats up tomato cans and he beats up the cab drivers and stuff. But anyways,
Well, I mean, to be fair to Canelo, most of the guys that he did beat on his way up had winning records. So they weren't exactly,
Dude, he beat Roy Rhodes, man. That's a good win.
right. He beat up a lot of Brits, Canelo. He's beat up, quite a few Brits
Matthew
on the way.
Khan.
But he's fighting
Smith.
He's fighting the guys like, the Lee Purdys of this world and Gavin Rees and the ones that get sent over to America for cannon fodder, like Liam Smith. Those are the guys pretty much he's beating up. But I just don't see Canelo how he wins the fight. I think he's gonna have to do things he's never done before and we've never seen from him, like moving, like using the circumference of the ring, circling, which we don't see Canelo do much of. He only does that. He does a little like, I noticed in Canelo's fights, he does a little like kind of circle to the left when he's kind of showboating. But that's the only time he does it. Like, he doesn't actually do it because he needs to do it. Do you know what I mean?
He does it when his opponent is so overmatched that he could just do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, exactly. He does it when you showboat, and then Triple G is going to close him down and cut the distance on him. And I don't know, man. It's going to be tough for Canelo. And Canelo's got stamina issues that we've known about for all these years. He sits on the rope sometimes for a bit too long. He's got to stay off them ropes, man, because Triple G is going to let go if you just sit on them ropes.
Okay, hold on. I want to jump in there for a second. You say that, though, right? But one thing I've noticed with Golovkin in the last few fights, I don't know, man. Another thing about the decline that I was talking about, he doesn't seem to pull the trigger that easily anymore. And that, for me, is a big tell. Often when fighters aren't the same anymore, is they just don't have that ability to pull the trigger. And I've noticed that in his last couple of fights, man. It just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to come out that rapidly anymore. The way he just fired off those fucking body shots, against somebody like Macklin or Proska or any of those guys, like, he would just, as soon as you were on the ropes, you're fucked. That was usually like the story with Golovkin, don't go to the ropes because as soon as you do, your ribs are getting smashed. But I don't get that feeling anymore with him, man. I honestly don't. He doesn't have that punishing fucking, like instant attack anymore.
I would say that the last two guys he fought, Brook and Jacobs, are probably the two best people he's fought. Am I crazy for saying that?
The two best boxers.
Yeah, the two best, like, that's what I mean. Like, the two best technicians, the two best boxers that he's actually fought, that have shown him something completely different to what he's seen before. Because even in the Brook fight, I remember when I was watching the Brook fight, like, Brook was actually making him miss quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was moving, and even Triple G after the fight said, Kell Brook's a really good boxer. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Well, like that first, like, kind of opening salvo that Brook...
He's just welterweight. He's just not a middleweight. That's what Triple G said after the fight.
Brook hit Golovkin with, like, Golovkin didn't really look hurt, but he was like, oh shit, like, this guy, like, he's got some skills to him,
Do you know what I mean?
He hit him with that, like, 4-piece.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say to you. I think it's a bit of both. I agree. I think Triple G has slipped a little bit. The thing that bothered me the most about the Triple G fight,
I think he's big for the weight. Right? I think that might be really what's masking it. I think he's struggling to make the weight now, so he's not able to, recover in those 24 hours. So that's taking something out of him. I think if he was at 168, you'd see him like refreshed again.
Maybe, but what disappointed me the most in that the Jacobs fight, especially, Jacobs was really gassed in the last 3 rounds, 10, 11, and 12. Jacobs was really tired. And even like at the final bell, Jacobs literally collapsed. He dropped down to the ground. Like, And Triple G struggled to find that next gear. He couldn't take it up. He couldn't take it up. Whereas Triple G never struggled to take it up again when he needed to. It's like, when I used to watch Triple G fights, it was like, Triple G's decided now, I'm going to stop this guy. And Triple G he's done it. Like in the Martin Murray fight, for example, that went on a bit longer. And then in round 10 and 11, he said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm stepping on it now. And I'm stopping him.
Yep.
In the Jacobs fight, he couldn't find that gear. He couldn't take it up a level where, do you know what I mean? And you can tell he was trying, but he just couldn't do it anymore. So in that sense, I agree, Chemo, he has kind of declined.
Hamada, you know who I've seen that exact same type of decline with Manny Pacquiao, right? And it was also quite subtle. It's not a moment where you think, oh, he's completely declined, you know, but it is like, okay, he's not really jumping on this guy anymore. You know, he's not pulling the trigger. He's not fucking shifting into a new gear. Like there comes a time where the fighter just kind of loses that a little bit. We've seen that with a guy like Shane Mosley as well, who said it himself on camera. You know, he's like, I can't pull the trigger anymore. I can't, you know, go into that next phase where I can put my punches together and knock this motherfucker out like I used to.
Yeah, but Mosley said it more slurred though.
Wow.
That's not cool.
No, but I was gonna say though, Kimo, that that wasn't because Manny Pacquiao, was fading. That was just because he was a good Christian man, and he wanted to show mercy on his opponents, and he felt bad for him, so he let him survive. He let him survive, Kimo, because that's just how amazing Pacquiao was. Just amazing and great.
So much hate.
He could just do whatever he wanted.
So much hate.
But anyways, let me quickly. Like, I think Triple G can actually beat Canelo on points. I think,
of course,
he can dominate Canelo. But the thing for me with Triple G is, if it goes the distance, I don't see Triple G getting the decision. I don't know why.
Yo, you know what's funny about that too? Well, I mean, I know why, Hamada. I know why. Because Canelo almost got a fucking decision against Floyd Mayweather. That fight
exactly.
wasn't even close.
he got a draw, on that scorecard, and he got, what was it against Lara? He got a ridiculous one. I think he got a 9-3. Was it 9-3?
Yeah, 117 something. Yeah,
ridiculous. This is what I'm trying to say to you. So I think if she goes the distance, I'm worried for Triple G. Unless Triple G literally beats him 12-0, then there could be some dodginess going on. But Triple G can dominate him, can dominate the rounds and win rounds, and possibly 8-4 him or a clear 7-5 Canelo. Or, do you know what I mean? But I don't know. I just don't think Triple G will stop him, because, like I said, I think Triple G's lost that gear. Unless Triple G catches him early with something and wobbles him and hurts him and then jumps on him, I just don't think Triple G can start. I think it will be a distance fight, and I don't know, man. I'll be worried for Triple G if it goes a distance, because I swear
we don't know about Canelo's chin, Hamada. We don't know anything. When has Canelo's chin ever been?
Canelo's got decent.
I mean, his chin is pretty solid, to be honest. I'd say.
But from what?
I mean, outside of
the puncher that he fought,
James Kirkland.
Okay.
Kirkland didn't land a punch on him, man.
Yeah, he did. No, he did. He shook him up and knocked him back into the ropes.
I disagree with that statement. However, not even relevant.
No, well, you can disagree with it, but it's the truth.
That's not even
you can
relevant
disagree
to
with the
what
Earth being round too.
Really? That's a retarded. That's a retarded comparison.
Really?
It fucking happened.
One's
honestly, you formed that argument off.
No, it's not subjective. All you got to do is watch the goddamn video. It's like saying that it's subjective that JFK got shot in the fucking head. It's pretty clear what fucking happened.
Calm down. What did you want to say
about Lara?
How we're having a discussion right now about Triple G's powers potentially deteriorating. That's the same comparison to my assessment of Kirkland in that fight. But regardless of the situation is that if Kirkland is your barometer as the heaviest handed puncher that you fought, that's not saying much. He's fighting fucking Triple G, for fuck's sake.
True.
So how is he going to compare? How is he going to possibly endure through that kind of punching power? That's the thing that I don't know. And I'm not saying either way. I'm not making a definitive claim either way that I know 100% his chin is granite or the fact that his chin is shit. I really don't know. But that's what my prediction is hinging on entirely, is Canelo's chin. If Canelo has a good chin and he can take the punishment, then I'm picking Canelo to win by decision. I don't think he's going to stop Triple G. And I do think Canelo has a better gas tank when he's fighting in a manner that's more accessible for him, in the sense that he can kind of come forward when he wants to. He can take a step back when he wants to. But when he's fighting a guy like Lara or Floyd or even Trout, he's fucked, because he has to come forward the entire fight, and he has very, very shoddy footwork when he has to do that. But if he can kind of fight in different spurts, which I think he can against Golovkin because of some of the reasons that you mentioned, Chemo, then I think he can last 12. But that depends entirely on how he takes Triple G's punches.
I disagree, man.
All right. Go, Hamada.
One thing Triple G's opponents have always, like, people that fought Triple G, they all say is, like, Triple G makes you work without actually working himself. Like, his pressure and his footwork, the way he cuts the ring off on you, he's making you constantly work, he's making you constantly move, he's draining your energy. Do you know what I mean? He's making you tire by his constant pressure and his footwork. And I think, you don't think he's going to do that to Canelo and wear Canelo down and make Canelo tired and make Canelo sit on the ropes like he's done against guys like Angulo and even Chavez Jr. I watched bits of that fight and he was going to the ropes. I know he likes to do it sometimes because he tries to mimic Floyd and tries to counter off the ropes and that. But this is a whole different beast, man. Like, Triple G is going to get to him. Triple G is going to be pressuring his ass. And what's he going to do? Do you know what I mean? He's going to tire like he normally does.
The thing is, Golovkin can box on his back foot too. So, I mean,
I don't know about
comes at him.
I don't know how you think Canelo's going to be able to dictate the pace in this fight. I don't think he can dictate the pace in this fight.
I didn't say dictate. I didn't say dictate.
But you saying basically he's going to be able to fight when he wants to, like take step back. So basically, yes. When you're doing that, you're dictating the pace of the fight.
Nah, that's not what he said, dude. He said he would be able to last at 12.
He can fight in different... No. What I'm trying to say is that he's going to have to up the ante, obviously, in different situations, right, to get Triple G's respect. Dictating the pace of a fight to me is literally just fighting like Triple G did against his earlier opponents. What I'm trying to say is Canelo is going to go through shit in this fight. I'm not disagreeing with that entirely. I think he is going to go through a rough fucking night to get a W in this fight. And even like the best kind of circumstance that I'm painting is a 7-5 to 8-4 victory. So I guess like holistically, Triple G has so much more wiggle room and so much more error space to work within to win the fight, whereas Canelo really does need to fight a perfect fight, in my opinion. But I think just going back to the stamina thing, I think Canelo actually does fight fairly well. I mean, nobody should be fighting on the ropes, especially against a guy like Triple G. But I think one thing that Triple G also doesn't do very well is that when you're able to catch Triple G while he's loading up on his punches, even on the ropes, he tends not to really go through with his punches all that much. So I think if Canelo can kind of play a little bit of possum in those scenarios, and then in certain situations just come forward like he did against Angulo, then I think he has a decent chance to win the fight. But again, I'm still picking Triple G, so don't try to construe it as if I'm saying that Canelo is going to dictate the pacing of the fight or that something is going to happen where he can, win quite easily. I'm not saying that at all. I'm still picking Triple G, but that's the one situation where I can see Canelo winning is if he is able to kind of play possum in certain situations and be a little bit more of aggressor in different, situations of the rounds.
He does do that beautifully, though, doesn't he? Sitting on the ropes, doing a little roll. I fucking love that shit when he does it.
Yeah. I mean, against Cotto, he did that against Liam. But again, obviously, these are guys who are levels and levels and levels below Triple G. So they're not entirely relevant.
God, what a fascinating fight.
Yeah. Anyone?
It's kind of funny. And neither one of us really has a stamp on the fucking fight as in terms of what's going to happen. It's really difficult to predict.
I was going to say, considering Lim just actually recently mentioned Cotto's name, Cotto was touching Canelo too much in that fight. And even though Golovkin doesn't have the same hand speed as Cotto, I don't know. I just think it's going to be bad for Canelo if Golovkin starts not even just hitting him flush, but just, making contact with him. Because it's that contact.
What if Triple G just puts that jab on him?
That's my main concern. That's what I said. That's my biggest concern.
What if he just comes out, he just starts putting the jab on Canelo. Canelo can't do anything. He's struggling to counter. I mean, I don't know, man.
Matter of fact, his jab actually worked pretty nicely against Jacobs when he started pumping it.
That was his best punch in the Jacobs fight. He was landing the jab a lot in that fight.
That was his only punch in the fucking fight.
Pretty much,
if he wouldn't have had the jab, he would have lost. And by the way, I scored it for Jacobs.
Yeah, but to be fair, though,
set up
Canelo's probably best counter punch is that counter straight right hand, is it not? Once his opponent jabs him.
Yes.
The Trout icer.
I don't know. I'd go
It's
with
hard to counter when you're getting when the jab's actually hitting you. The jab's hitting you in your face.
Well, that's the whole point of a successful counter punch. Obviously, I understand that, but I'm taking that into consideration.
Well, I mean,
I can see him slipping it and throwing a combination limb. I can see him countering, definitely.
Honestly, I think what's going to happen more often is they'll both land on each other at the same time.
And then who's got the bigger power?
Yeah.
Who's going to make the difference?
I think Triple G has the bigger power, undoubtedly. I think that's pretty fair to say.
Not even comparable. Canelo's power is probably the most overrated thing in boxing.
Hey, watch your mouth, buddy.
It's true. Canelo knocks out America.
I know.
This is who he's knocked out. He's never knocked out anyone his size. Who's he knocked out that's his size?
Well, I mean, technically, Angulo and Kirkland were really both his size, but they weren't healthy at the weight. I'll put it that way.
The Angulo stoppage weren't even. It was like a mercy stoppage from the referee. Do you know what I mean? Because Angulo was taking.
You're right.
And Kirkland's had a really shaky chin his whole career.
So, I agree. No, that's one thing that I always conceded when people talk shit about Canelo's power. Yeah, I do think it's a little bit overrated. It's a little bit, on the flashy side. He doesn't really dig into his punches in the same fashion that Triple G does. But I still think he has good enough power where he can get Triple G's respect. And that's the reason why when I'm, predicting this fight, I don't think he's going to stop Triple G, is for that exact reason. I think his power is a little bit overblown because of his technique, quite frankly.
Well, honestly, when he sits on a punch, he can hit. I think Canelo can legit really hit hard when he really sits on a shot. The problem is every shot Canelo's
very accurate. So when Canelo's hitting you, he's hitting you on the spot. He's hitting you on the point of the chin.
But even
and when he throws them body shots, he's hitting you on the ribs. He's very accurate with his punches, and he's quick. His hands are quite fast.
I don't think all those shots have that same power on them. I think there's a certain level of power that most of his punches have, and then there's a certain level of power that is his maximum. But he very rarely hits people with that maximum shot.
And you can always tell.
I think he's got legit power.
He makes a very loud, sexy voice. I love it.
All right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Golovkin, everything that he throws is heavy-handed as shit.
Oh, his dude! Hey, I know this is gonna sound retarded. I'm gonna sound like Cam 3 or 4 years ago when he was judging Amir Khan's, press conferences and shit. But I've never seen Canelo do mitt work like that before, where he's dug that much into the actual bag. Like it's called, I don't know what that bag is called, but it's a circular bag where the trainer has to hold with both hands, and they're strictly for power punches. And I honestly haven't seen him throw punches with that much conviction. But I mean, obviously that doesn't mean anything because it doesn't necessarily transition into the fight. But again, my final prediction is Triple G. I've always picked Triple G. I always thought this was a little bit premature for Canelo to fight him. And I don't think Triple G's past his prime. I don't think you can qualify something as a trend because it's been 2 fights. And I don't even count the Kell Brook as a real fight. I mean, the guy was fighting a fucking welterweight, for fuck's sake. I mean, talk about circus fights. That was a fucking circus fight. So I thought Triple G, I think we know that Triple G likes to fight in reckless fashion that doesn't really represent how good of a fighter he is. He's done that so many times in his career that I think it's safe to say that in that Kell Brook fight, I don't think technique was a concern for him. And I think in the Jacobs fight, I think primarily it was just Jacobs being a damn good fighter and somebody who can fight in the style that not many other fighters can fight in. So I don't think there's too much cause for concern in stating that Triple G has deteriorated substantially. I don't think he has.
He should have taken it seriously because that Kell Brook fight took something out of him, man. Don't you agree, Amanda?
How do you know that? Dude, Kell Brook is a beast, bro. Like, he just does that to people, man.
Golovkin broke fucking Kell Brook's face and possibly started the end
you
of
can't just eat a chocolate brownie and expect to get away with it, man. That took something out of him.
What was a bigger circus fight? The Canelo Khan or the
Canelo Khan was to me because Khan wasn't even really he shouldn't have even been a fucking contender at welterweight. So At least Brooke was an established champion, and arguably the best welterweight on the planet when he moved up to fight Golovkin.
What do you think?
Cam, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Have you seen the Countdown show?
The Golden Boy one, or?
Yeah, the one with the old school with Tommy Hearns and everybody and Duran and everybody with the suits.
I've actually shared it with people because I think initially it was geo-locked, but I've not actually had time to sit down and watch it.
Okay, you have to go and watch it. It's actually quite funny, and I think it's kind of well done. But the amount of times they show Khan getting iced by Canelo, it's insane, dude. It's so like 40 times, like literally 40 times. Khan's helpless body flailing on the canvas. You know what I mean? It's fucking brutal, dude.
And then Canelo just kneeling next to him, thinking, "Oh fuck, I've just killed this guy."
That's so funny, man. Because like, there's a lot of people that I know that don't like watch boxing a lot, and so they'll watch certain fights like Canelo and stuff, and they've probably seen that Canelo Khan shit a fucking billion times. And it's amusing as shit.
It's just a repeat, man.
Because just looking at their faces while they watch it, because them being casual, whatever, they'll like, that's like, oh shit, like. Like they didn't know that something like that could happen in boxing. That somebody could get knocked out like that.
Crazy, isn't it? They're probably thinking Canelo's a beast. Like he's gonna do that to Triple G.
Canelo is a beast, man. Dude, Canelo's looking good, bro. I'm not gonna lie, man. My boy's looking fucking good at 160.
He looks fucking massive, dude.
He should have been there
fucking
about
bigger
2-3
than
years
Triple
ago
G.
instead of fucking fighting at 155.
Well, I mean, if you look at that picture of them, what was that, like 8 years ago or some shit? They look pretty much the same size.
Yep.
But now Canelo looks
then.
bigger, dude.
Yeah, and that was when Canelo was 18, 19, right? So naturally.
Yeah, I could tell even in the Chavez fight,
sure.
Canelo just looked, fuller, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to
you can call it that. I prefer to call it other things. You know what I mean?
Thickness. All right, we need to move on because it's getting late.
Yeah, why do you always do this, man? Why do you always try to steer the conversation?
Because you guys would be on the line for like 5 hours if I didn't intervene. So.
Well, we've only done it for 2 minutes. We can still do it for another 4.5 hours.
No.
We're going to do a live coverage of the weigh-in anyway, right? We're going to analyze the whole body and the way it looks.
Analyze what they say in the post-weigh-in interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, seriously, to all of our listeners, obviously, me and Kimo and Camo are going to be there. So we're going to provide coverage for the Superfly cards. We'll be at the weigh-ins. We'll be at the press conferences. We'll be at the fighter meetings. And for the Canelo Triple G one, we'll also be at the weigh-ins. I'll do the weigh-ins in just my underwear, so you guys can catch that on Periscope too. So it'll be fucking lit, bro. And if you guys see us out there in Vegas, man, let's bang, bro. Hit me up, bros.
Oh, we'll definitely bang for sure.
All right,
yeah,
Kimo.
We're gonna bang a lot, dude. We're gonna bang with Brian King. We're gonna bang with some of his boys. My boys will bang. It's gonna be a bang fest, bro.
Shout out to Ramrod.
All right, Kimo, you were talking. Kimo, you were talking earlier that you're a bit more intrigued with the undercard. So do you want to take the lead?
I'm looking forward to watching Lara, man, against JoJo. Actually, went back a bit today and watched it because these guys, I don't know, man. I watch them always on undercards, but they don't really stick in my head that much, because I don't know, it just doesn't really. Like I know they're all exciting prospects, and they're kind of stored in the back of my memory, but I never really, get into it that much. And today I was watching a little bit of Jorge Lara again, and the guy's a fucking fun fighter to watch, man. Like he's a throwback Mexican. He comes to fucking scrap, and he's a little bit wild. He's got a nice fucking right hook to the body as well. And Cam, you're gonna enjoy this because it's like two southpaws, so you're gonna have the lube out. So it's an exciting fight, man, but it's quite a risky fight as well. Like,
hey guys, what kind of lube should I purchase? I'm actually at the grocery store right now, so just let me know what brand you guys prefer.
Cam,
Should I buy the 3X or just the 2X?
I'm personally not gonna need it, Lim. I will be moist.
Okay, what about the diapers? Then the diaper section is a couple rows away.
Yes, I need the
You got Huggies?
just.
You want Huggies?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Just make sure it like covers heavy flow. Just make sure.
All right. You're a size 25 waist, right? All right, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm just gonna get one of those and one of these, please. No, that's fine. All right, thank you.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Lara versus Jojo.
Yeah, so with Jojo, right? He's obviously technically superior to Lara, but to me, he kind of looks like a guy that has the temperament to get dragged into a war when he should be sticking to a game plan. That's kind of what I'm curious about. You know, when you have a guy like Lara fucking going at him, is he going to stay composed, or is he going to get dragged into a slugfest? That's really what I want to see about him. Like, how's his composure? In terms of a prediction, Cam, I really don't know. Like, again, I don't know these guys that well enough because I don't really think about them that often. I have watched them fight, but I'm curious about the betting odds. Actually, Naota, do you know who's the actual favorite in this? Because I know you're picking Lara like by icing or something like that.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
You would have to assume JoJo's a favorite. Just
Diaz
I
is
assume
favorite,
so,
yeah.
right? Otherwise, they wouldn't fucking put him in.
The name, he's had more publicity. Lara's a relative unknown. He's kind of this random, like kind of PBC deep undercard fighter. It's actually kind of surprising that he's fighting a Golden Boy fighter, incidentally.
It is very risky though, but there's no need for me to make a prediction. It's not really based on anything. I'm just gonna sit back and really enjoy this fight, man. I think it's a big step up for Jojo, and hopefully we're gonna see some fireworks, man.
Anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, so Lara is a Golden Boy fighter?
No, Diaz is. Lara's a PBC fighter.
Who's Lara? Oh, he's with Taman?
Yeah.
Okay. What is he? Is he Mexican, Colombian, Chinese? Mexican? Cool.
He's a straight up Mexican brawler with some decent technique.
I thought he was Chinese for a second because I could have sworn him trained with Zhu Shiming in the past.
Yo, Zhu Shiming probably would have been dead had they
Yo, Jorge Lara, man, he's gonna beat up Jojo Diaz. He's gonna drop him numerous times, and we're gonna change his name to Yo-Yo Diaz.
Boom.
Yeah, man. We're gonna change his
I wouldn't
name.
be surprised if Hamada's dead on accurate about that though, considering his
style.
No
Diaz. He's gonna be no Diaz.
Yo, you're dropping rhymes like Wawa Davies, man.
Exactly. Keep those jokes coming.
Is he gonna win by becoming Bolo Diaz?
You're like
Lara's a beast. Lara's a beast, man. He's a bad motherfucker, yo.
He is.
All right. Settle down.
He's a fucking savage. Honestly, like I said on Twitter before, if Diaz somehow finds a way to win this, he does the David Benavidez, Porky Medina shit. He's the best featherweight there is. Period. Because Lara is a fucking savage, and not only the thing is about Lara is he looks wild. He looks like the punches that he's throwing are wide, but they almost all land. He's actually really, really accurate for somebody that you look at and think oh, he's really crude. He's actually landing quite a few of those punches. Just because of the fact that I think his hand speed is so good that he's able to pretty much choose whenever the hell he wants to throw, and he's gonna hit you. He's a fucking beast, and I'm expecting him to ice Diaz, and if Diaz proves me wrong, then hey, props to him, because the Lara's he's the guy that if you're managing all the champions at a given weight class, you keep him the fuck away from that guy at all costs. That's who Jorge Lara is. So Diaz goes into the lion's den and slays him, then he deserves all the credit in the world.
I think most likely.
Go ahead, Cam.
I think most likely Lara is going to win, but I just see something where maybe Jojo will be able to just keep his defense tight initially, fundamentals very good, and just kind of box him and frustrate Lara. I hope he can, because I really like Jojo, but I can see him just getting clipped with some kind of wild hook, and I'm not really seeing him hurt up to now, but he just looks like a guy that can't really take a flush shot for some reason, man. He's got that kind of baby face to him, and he just can't take a big shot. So I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I think he has like a little bit of give to him though. Like I don't think he's a particularly strong guy. I think Lara can bully him, pretty handily.
But
plus Lara has also been in some real fights, whereas Diaz has been kind of. I mean, I was surprised when I box racked him how many fights this fucking guy already has. Like he's got 24 fights.
He's been slowly brought up. Yeah, he's not really been in. Tough
really slow, man. At least Lara had that. I watched that Rojas fight today. That was at least that's the kind of fight that you need. To bring yourself to a certain level, and maybe that's what this fight will be for JoJo. But we don't know. We don't know.
Another boogeyman. As soon as he freaking started lighting up Jorge Arce didn't want any of it. He got his no contest, and then everybody started ducking him.
This fight, the only way I see Diaz winning is like kind of like how Danny Garcia beat Matisse, where like an eye injury or something come up, and then he just bossed it for the rest of the fight. I can't if all things being equal,
I can't even see that. I can't even see
all
that.
things
Lard
being
has
equal,
that rage to him. That
rage. Like you.
Lara's
Neo to Lara.
Fucking stabbing motherfuckers in the ring.
I watched what Lara did to Montiel, and I said, "Damn, man, this guy's a savage." But
Montiel was done.
I know, but still. Lee Selby.
He still gave Selby the business.
Yeah,
exactly.
He gave Selby a tough fight.
Selby is shit.
In one round.
Fuck Selby, man. I'm off the wagon.
World champion. IBF world champion, mate.
He's a world champion.
Yeah, and he's Welsh. He's a Welsh warrior.
Welsh Mayweather, mate.
Exactly.
That motherfucker's going after people on Twitter that are telling him to get in the fucking ring. He's a fucking idiot.
Well, at me, bro. If you got a problem, at me.
Dude, we're gonna be there, man. We can shoot the 5. It's all good. Come to the StubHub.
You better at me though on Twitter.
Gotta send that contract via DM.
Exactly, bro. You better at me. If you don't at me, it doesn't count. Don't you know anything about that?
Twitter etiquette.
Exactly. No, that's a good fight though, man. I'm looking forward to that. Now that you brought up that Lara Montiel fight, I should do recollect Lara's fighting style. So it just doesn't make any sense. Though. Why would Oscar do this? Was Oscar on a cocaine binge when he signed the?
I have bigger questions about his fight.
Guys, Joseph Diaz Jr. is an Olympian, and he has incredible skills and the highest connect ratio of any active boxer. Why not?
He was probably thinking about some other Lara, dude, when he was at a hotel room at 4 a.m. in Caesar's Palace doing some blow. He was like, "Oh yeah, David Lara, we'll fight David Lara, no problem." And the next morning, Gomez is like, "It's not David Lara, Oscar. It's the other one." He's like, "No, fuck."
Yo, this is gonna be but seriously, if Lara knocks Diaz out, that's a tremendous L for Golden Boy because he just got knocked out by one of the potential stars of his stable. Just got knocked out by a Heyman guy.
What about the other De La Hoya? I mean, we haven't even talked about that, but that's another risky fight, man. What the fuck is it?
I mean, it isn't. I think that's calculated because I think Randy Caballero. My bad. Randy Caballero is. I don't think he's the same at 122 as he was at 118.
It's not even that though. His fighting style isn't really all that. He's a good, solid fighter, but there's no variable about him that's really
there's no X factor.
I know I've seen Caballero a ton of times because he's pretty local. So I've seen him develop as a fighter, and not to mention he's really more suited at 118. I don't know why he's fighting at 122, but he's kind of more of a guy that you can really prepare for, whereas Lara really isn't. So. That one isn't much of a surprise.
I think he struggled with weight because he missed
thing
weight
Diego,
against Haskins.
He's kind of hot and cold. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just saying about weight. He missed weight against Haskins and got stripped, so I don't think he could physically make bantamweight anymore.
No, that's fair. That's on him.
That maybe that says that he was a weight bully and he's just not the same when he's fighting guys his own size. So.
I swear,
But
did he?
Yeah, I think Diego's quicker than him. I think Diego hits harder than him. I think he's actually a better boxer than Caballero too. The only thing is Diego kind of lacks experience at like a higher level. But honestly, I think it's probably De La Hoya's time to actually win. The only thing about De La Hoya is, like I was starting to say, is he's kind of hot and cold. You know, sometimes he looks really, really good, and other times he looks kind of flat. But I'd imagine here against, you know, probably the best opponent he's ever fought, you know, he'll look to show out on a big undercard. So he better.
Yo, Cam, didn't Randy Caballero weigh like 123 pounds in the fucking Haskins weigh?
I can't exactly remember, but he was.
He came in so fucking heavy, mate. I remember something.
He was a bit soft though, too. To be fair.
Crazy, man, but fucking yeah. I don't know Diego De La Hoya, but I don't know I believe you guys. It could be a tough fight. I'm just thinking if shit can go tits up in this fight and fucking in that card, and we could see the fishnets come back out, man. Honestly, Oscar might lose it.
What's crazy about Caballero?
Honestly, I don't think Oscar's that close with Diego, though. To be honest with you.
They got the same name?
No, I mean, because he's his uncle.
I thought the cousins, innit? Aren't the cousins?
Cousin.
The only people that Oscar are close with are people who can provide him blow at 4 a.m. That's it. You can't do that. You don't mean shit to Oscar, man. Dude, I was laughing my ass off, dude. I was looking for Canelo videos to the build-up of this fight, and they had this one interview with Forbes of Mexico, and the dude was interviewing Oscar. I was like, how the fuck did you manage to find Oscar in his office, dude? He probably planned that shit like 4 months in advance. Just say, Oscar, we need you in the office. And Oscar's like, I'm never there, but like, come on, Oscar, we need you just once. Like, can't you go to your office once in a 4-month time span? He's like, okay, I'll come on a Tuesday, but that's it. If not, then I'm gonna be doing cocaine off of hookers' ass cheeks. That's what I do. Like, it's just, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know why I brought that up, but I just think Oscar's a fucking funny motherfucker, and I think this is honestly a situation where like the results of this fight card could really end Golden Boy. I know that sounds a little bit too dramatic and overblown, but think about if all of his fighters lose. Like, who is he? Especially, well, that depends on how Canelo does, obviously. But imagine if Canelo gets starched and everyone else gets starched. Like, what the fuck is Oscar going to do with that?
Well, at least he still promotes Caballero. So even if his cousin gets wrecked, he still has him.
Okay, I guess doing shows in Fantasy Springs with an audience of 2,000 people. Yeah, all right.
Don't hate on the desert.
But Hamada, you're right. I just checked. He was Caballero was 5.5 pounds overweight against Haskins. Crazy. But Kimo, you were talking about Joe.
Fine though, man.
Yeah, Haskins ducked.
Caballero's girlfriend.
Haskins ducked.
Kimo, you were talking about Jojo before, but Diego for me is one of those guys. I've seen him about 5 times, but I couldn't tell you any like redeeming quality about him. He's just one of those very average vanilla fighters where there's nothing special about him.
Kind of like you.
Oh, that's cold, bro.
He's actually pretty good. He's actually a pretty good counterpuncher, and he has a good right hand. That's pretty much what the best I could pretty kind of say about him. But
are we done with this undercard?
Undercard promotion. Then.
So basically,
who else is on this card?
I was gonna say, Kimo. So you and me are getting there early, watching everything, and Lim will probably just come in for the main event, most likely.
We got Ryan Martin versus. We got Ryan Martin.
Cam, can you hear me? I think I muted myself, man.
We can hear you now, yeah.
What were you going to say there, Dum?
No, I was going to say, I don't know if you got, I don't think that came through, but when you said vanilla, I totally agree with you. Like, that is exactly not about Cam. What Cam said about Diego De La Hoya. Like, he's not a very memorable guy. Yes, there's the basic skill level there, but he does, I don't know, he's very rough around the edges. I see low hands often as well. Like, I don't know, man. You guys seem to be a bit more positive about this Caballero fight than me. I'm a bit skeptical. Yes, he might not be, a world beater, but I still think this is a step up, and I still think this is a risky fight.
Cool.
But he's a murderous puncher.
Cool story, bro. No, he's not a murderous puncher.
Yeah, so Ryan Martin's fighting on the card as well, Cam?
Yes, he is. He's fighting for.
You're not going to be in the building for that.
And Marlon Esparza, partner of Nicola Adams, she's on the undercard in third professional fight. Yeah, man, Marlon Esparza.
What about Michaela Adams?
Who's Michaela Adams?
No.
She's the other female fighter. Oh, never mind. Who's Marlon Esparza fighting?
That's Nicola Adams, but yeah, she's fighting Tanya Cosmo, whoever that is.
Oh, we got to go to that fight camp.
Me and Kimo will be there, but you'll probably be running late.
We need to drag his ass into the fucking arena because he will miss the whole undercard otherwise, man.
Kimo, do you really want to go to the Marlon Esparza fight, though, dude?
Well, hey,
because you'll develop some sort of romance with her.
She's fighting a chick nicknamed La Niña de Oro, which is the female version of Jorge Linares' nickname. So that must mean that, she's really good.
Pretty girl, gang.
Even though she has 6 losses and only 5 wins.
That's horrible. That's a lot.
All right.
We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see how things go. It's Vegas, so we can't really predict these things, yeah?
Yeah.
Are we done with this card?
I'm going to knock him out inside 4 rounds. Mark my words.
Yeah. All right. We kind of touched upon it earlier when we were talking about Billy Joe looking in great shape, but has anyone got anything else to mention about that fight or the undercard? I know Yard's on there fighting nobody. Pigford's on there versus Kieran Smith. Daniel Dubois fighting.
Fuck yeah.
AJ Carter.
Who the fuck is that?
Bro, man, Pigford's a beast, man. Don't even talk like that. Disrespect him like that.
That's what was cracking me. It was cracking me up when you were talking about Pigford versus Cheeseman. Like there's gonna be a fight at a deli or some shit.
That's just a nickname, right, Cam?
That's his real name, bro.
His last name.
Lim, let me tell you something, man. This guy is called Pigford. His nickname is the Pig. He wears it on his trunks, and he is literally. He doesn't block punches with his gloves. He just eats it and tries to fucking knock you out. It's the best thing ever.
And his fans dressed up as like big, in pig costumes and carry like inflatable pigs. So I saw it firsthand when I was at the Javante Walsh fight because Pigford was on the undercard.
I think I should watch an IFL interview with him. So I actually am familiar with who he is and what he looks like. So,
yo, Lim,
yeah,
you weren't. Lim, you weren't here earlier. I want to get your breakdown analysis of Jalen Love versus Abraham Hahn.
Dude, I was going to tell you that card might be the bummiest card. Obviously, the Benavidez, I rate Benavidez highly, but that might have the greatest constituency of the average bumminess that each fighter possesses. I mean, you got Jalen Love, you got A.B. Hahn, you have fucking Peter Quinlan. I mean, those are 3 of the bummiest speakers in boxing right there. That's incredible. That deserves an applause. Like, my God, you got Peter Kid Chocolate who hasn't. When's the last time that guy fought? I mean, has he fought since
when
the
he got
Jacobs
knocked
fight?
out?
Yeah, he hasn't fought since Jacobs.
So you got that bum on the card. You got A.B. Hahn. A.B. Hahn is like a guy. Like, say for example, if my sister brought A.B. Hahn to my dad, Dad, this is my new boyfriend. My dad would be like, what? Get him the fuck out of here, man! Like, who the fuck is this guy? And then you got
is that?
You'd be like, even my dad, who's Korean, he would say, who the fuck is this guy? And then you got this other motherfucker, man, Jalen Love. I mean, dude, come on, with a name like Jalen Love, you automatically take an L. But bro, you fucking lost to Gabe Rosado, man. Like, you might be the bummiest of all 3 of them. So, for fuck's sake, Cam, that is one bummy ass card. And if you guys want to go to that card, I'm down to go just to troll the shit out of it. Like, I wouldn't mind watching Benavidez fight, but all the
where is
guys,
that?
man.
Buy a TMT.
Where is it?
It's in Vegas, but I get in at
Rock.
6. So yeah, it's not. It's gonna be
When?
exciting.
August 6th?
No, I get in at 6 p.m. So that card's on the same day, innit?
Oh,
Yeah, it's at the Hard Rock.
I see.
August
Well,
6th.
that's where we're staying. No, I'm sorry, September 6th.
No. I'm saying I get in at 6 p.m.
I know.
He gets in at 6 p.m.
I know. What date is that? The September 9th?
That's the 8th.
The
That's
6th is on a Wednesday, man. What are you guys talking about?
No, that's on the 8th, innit? Isn't that on Friday?
I don't know my fucking
It's on
dates, dude.
Friday.
Calm the fuck down,
It's on
dude.
the Friday, Kimo. 8th, Friday the
What are you
8th.
talking about?
In Vegas.
All right. Yeah, no, but A.B. Hahn, that has to be one of the most comical fights I've ever watched in my life. I remember it was like a Friday night fight where I saw A.B. Hahn, and this guy was shadowboxing in the middle of the ring when his opponent was like 4 feet away from him. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, He's not even in range to punch you right now.
What fight?
Nice.
Yo, hey, and the day before Golovkin and Alvarez, the boy that Kimo mentioned earlier, Jesus Rojas, he's fighting Claudio Morero. It's a good fight.
Where?
MGM.
Dude, bro, we should go to that fight. I should know.
The winner becomes the eventual mandatory for Leo.
On which day is that?
So what is that?
The day before.
Is that
The
Friday?
right before
Friday the
Golovkin and
15th.
Canelo. Yeah,
Oh, let's do that
Oh,
shit,
I'm
man.
down to go see that.
Yeah, man.
that's a good
Why
fight.
not? Is that the only
but-
fight on that card, or what's going down?
No, Rashidi Ellis is on it, and Ryan Garcia also.
Who the fuck is that?
2 undefeated prospects. Rashidi Ellis is the guy that lit up
Yeah.
what's his
Rashidi's
name? Eddie
a
Gomez
beast.
last year.
Yeah, Rashidi Ellis is a really good fighter.
Fucking
We know what
like
we're
20
doing on
seconds.
Friday then.
He used to be Canelo's main sparring partner too. But anyways, yeah, that'll be perfect, guys. I think the weigh-in's going to take place at MGM. So I mean, obviously we got a film coverage for the weigh-in, and then we can just go to the fight afterwards.
So that's at
Yeah,
the
let's do
MGM.
that.
That's not bad. Even Jose Argumendo's on there, Naoto, on the undercard.
Oh, is he?
8
Nice.
rounder against TBA.
Is it? It's obviously at the not the theater, but the Garden, the
Yeah.
14,000 capacity one in MGM.
I don't know. It actually might wind up being at one of those halls. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it just says MGM Grand, so I'm not sure.
You guys should go to that shit, man. No, honestly, it's always really fun to watch a fight at MGM.
Let's go, Kimo.
Why not? Yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll hit the tables afterwards, Cam. Go all in, baby.
All right. Are we done on the Golovkin card?
No, I'm so excited, man. Fuck,
All right. Let's move on.
can't take this shit anymore, man. How long? 1.5
Dude,
weeks.
you better settle down, bro. You are so fucking annoying at the fights. Hamada, when we were in Scotland, this guy was getting a boner every time anything was happening. Like a jab was coming. Like, oh my god. I'm like,
I can
the fuck?
imagine.
Calm the
About
fuck down.
How was he behaving when O'Hara was coming out to the Undertaker music?
Oh my god!
Hold on. Let me speak on this. Kimo has this really weird physical, like, it's not a twitch, but he does this thing with his fingers. Like, you know how when you with your fingers, what do you call that? Why am I blanking out? Yeah, like that. But he does it where, like, he'll, like, throw it down, and he does that shit every time when something exciting happens, and he'll get all hyped, and then he'll just stare at you, like, to the side with his teeth all gritted as if, like, he's gonna go in the ring. I'm like, what the fuck? Calm the fuck down, buddy.
Kimo Willis.
What the fuck are you on about?
Amala, let me tell you something. Yeah, when that intro of the Undertaker hit from Davies, oh man, ask Cam, man. I was fucking losing it. I thought this was like the end. I thought the fight was already won. I thought he was coming for that jaw of Josh Taylor and taking it home. Fucking hell! So much excitement.
I wish there was a better screenshot Cam could have captured on the fight, because I think we were actually caught momentarily. But if you could just see a side by side of me and Kimo's faces, I think it would have been a pretty telling contrast, man.
He should have had he should have had a fat dude in a suit holding up an urn.
You know what? Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, that game brought goosebumps, man. Like I was just, you know when you was young and then you just hear the Undertaker's theme music, you just straight away get nervous. Like something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's what I had as well.
I was thinking, no, like, is O'Hara really gonna come and just fuck up Josh Taylor?
Whoever fights him next should come out to the Kane music.
Dude, I think O'Hara is gonna bounce back really strong, man. After watching Ben do what he did on Saturday, I mean, you have to get motivated and inspired just to reach greatness. You know what I mean?
Hamada, can you please give your take on the track that he dropped? The rap, did you hear it?
Yeah, I listened to it once. It was quite good, man. I thought OD was quite good, man. I mean, some of I can't remember some of his lyrics though, man. I only listened to it the once, but he kept going on about stuff like I'm known and you're unknown, and like people come watch me, and I don't know, man.
You're all bummed.
My favorite my favorite Eddie Hearn interviews is whenever Eddie just sounds really nervous and concerned about O'Hara's mental state. It's the funniest interviews ever. He's like, O'Hara's such a good guy, but I am worried about his health, and with social media and everything, and it's just always a very awkward transition whenever he talks about OD, and I don't know. I think OD is like a version of Broner without the I don't know, this is terrible to say, but he's just not good. Like, you guys think he can ever be decent, like at 140? Can he ever be like a contender potentially at that weight class?
I think he's best European level. I don't think he's going to go to the world level unless they really hand him a title, like fucking vacant title against some bum.
Yeah.
Which is possible because I think Crawford's moving up, and Eddie loves a vacant title.
Interesting.
Anyway.
All right, cool, boys.
Davis.
All right.
That's the fucking best shit ever.
Davis.
He was on a roll again at the next gen card, man, talking about Ben, how he's gonna go to the top, man. Fucking Tony Simples. Tony Simples, man.
Fucking hell, man. I was just listening back to the.
He's learning so fast.
The OD rap, man. He comes out with the bar. What does he say? Oh, Taylor won the fight, but I won the war. I'm still more known. I'm still the bigger draw. It's not bad, man. Not bad.
How the fuck do you win the war when the war consisted of only one battle in which you lost?
You got knocked the fuck out.
No sense. I wish I had this dude's self-confidence, man. Yeah.
I love OD, man. OD, even though O'Hara Davis is a bit of a twat, but I fucking love him, man. He's hilarious, man. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's car crash TV with him, man.
Do you ever get confused for O'Hara, Hamada, when you walk around town?
O'Hara. No, I don't know. O'Hara Davis, I mean, the best fighter of 40.
140.
Hey, you should come into Vegas sometime, and I'll get you a O'Hara Davis tracksuit and see how many bitches you can pull with a tracksuit on.
You can get that shit at JD Sports, bro.
Alright, bro. Well, give me one then, bro.
I get you one, man. Get that OD.
Dude, we went into JD in Glasgow, man. It was fucking nice, dude.
You didn't go in there, you fucker. Oh, did you?
We went in together. We stared at the AJ poster. You don't remember?
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I didn't go in there with you. You have terrible memories.
Or was that you and me, Cam? Oh, I think Lim wasn't there, right?
Yeah, just you and me.
Yeah, you went to take a nap, and then we went there because Cam wanted to get some new gear, and then we went into JD, and it was like... It was
that
amazing.
was an AJ poster?
Dude, there was AJ everywhere, man.
Was that the same one I went to, Cam?
Yeah.
The one in the city center?
I think it was a different
one. How come the girls at JD are so fine, Hamada?
I don't know, man. They're just high hot birds, man.
They're all fucking pretty, bro. Honestly.
JD's like, they hire hot birds.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
All right, I need to take control of this. We're going off topic, but
man.
Okay. Lighten up a bit, bro.
I'm tired, man.
Sunday show, man.
London
we can do whatever the fuck we
2018.
want.
Cam, London 2018 Groves versus Eubank, man. Coalition meetup. It's going down. We gotta do it, man.
Nando's beforehand.
Yeah, and then we'll go to an Arsenal match as well.
No, fuck.
We gotta do a Patreon account first, bro, so we can get the funds right. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I feel you.
Do a border wars as well, bro. Like, I'm down to fight anyone. Just give me a training.
There's gonna be one in Vegas, right? We can participate if we want. We have to sign up.
Anything else about the card, guys? Come on, let's get serious, man. Keep going off topic.
We're off that card.
I have a couple of things to mention.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
You talk too much. That's not. No, go on now, to go.
Go on now.
Well, this Friday in Argentina on TYC. For those of you guys that have that channel.
Now Alpha in the house.
Yep. Juan Carlos Reveco is fighting against Congrich Nantapech to become the mandatory to Dani Nietes for Dani Nietes' IBF flyweight title. Nietes fought Nantapech in his last fight. Had a pretty close fight with him. Pretty tough one. Reveco is a former champion.
Where's Nantapech from?
Champ. Thailand. His you want to know his other name?
Yeah.
Iktuan BTU Rua Viking.
What the fuck? I need to look this up.
That's
is that a supermarket?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm guessing. I mean, a BTU Rua Viking sounds like it might be like a line of refrigerators, to be honest with you. But yeah, he's going to be fighting Juan Carlos Reveco. I favor Reveco in the fight. He's actually a really good boxer. His only losses were to Kazuto Yoko, who's really still the number one guy at flyweight. Although I think Higa would beat him, Daigo Higa. And his other loss was to Brian Osloom, who's Olympic gold medalist and a world champion, one of the better fighters at the lower weight classes in general. And those were both reasonably close losses, except for the second one against Yoko, where Yoko managed to stop him. But even then, it was a competitive one. And then also on the Superfly undercard, Brian Valoria is fighting. It's listed as a bantamweight bout, but it's kind of strange because the guy he's fighting, Miguel Cartagena, is a flyweight, just like Valoria normally is a flyweight. So if they actually fight at bantamweight, I'll be kind of surprised, because Cartagena was actually trying to become the mandatory for Zhou Shiming, and his fight actually ended in head clashes with Toshiyuki Igarashi. So that wound up in a draw, and he didn't get a shot at Zhou, which is kind of unfortunate because he looked like he might have been right for the taking considering his last fight. I'd favor Valoria in there, but I mean Cartagena is a reasonably good boxer, so he may be able to outskill Valoria, but Valoria still got the Hawaiian punch, as it were, so he may knock him out. I'd imagine that's probably the most likely outcome. Yukinori Oguni is defending his title, his I think it's the IBF super bantamweight title that he defeated Jonathan Guzman for a year ago, fighting against Ryosuke Iwasa. He'll beat Iwasa. The main event really on that is actually the one that's listed as the undercard. I'm not sure if it's the main or not. But Kosei Tanaka, probably the quickest rising star in Japan currently, fighting a fighter from Thailand named Rangsan Kayanam, and his alias is Palangpol CP Freshmart. So not as entertaining as Knockout, but he's still repping the Freshmart brand. So go there and get yourself some M150 and pay tribute. But yeah, Tanaka most likely knocks out Rangsan, aka Palangpol CP, because Tanaka is a beast, and he's talking about winning titles in 5 weight classes, and I wouldn't necessarily entirely put it past him to at least get maybe 3. Although I think he leaves his chain hanging out a little bit too much there for when he moves up to flyweight. But he's another rising star that I'm sure will be bursting into the U.S. shores not too long after Inoue. And then the other ones I wanted to mention was on the same day as Golovkin versus Alvarez, but in the Philippines. Milan Melindo defending his IBF light flyweight title against former champion Hecky Butler. Former strawweight champion Hecky Butler. Butler had the tough, close, big upset loss last year against Byron Rojas, and he's moving up in weight to fight Milan Melindo, who just recently got a nice first-round knockout of Akira Yagashi. And then on the undercard of that is Janriel Casimero, who a lot of people remember from knocking out Amna Ronrong, knocking out Charlie Edwards, freaking getting forced to run under the ring when he started a riot in Argentina. He's going to be fighting against Jonas Sultan, and the winner of that becomes the mandatory for Joran Akaz, the IBF super flyweight champ. So a lot of IBF titles on the line in the next couple of weeks. And I think Casimero most likely knocks Sultan the fuck out, just because that's the type of beast that he is. But him versus Akaz, I think, is going to be a really good fight. And incidentally, it would actually be the first world championship fight between 2 Filipinos in like 60 years or some crazy shit. I read something about it, but pretty interesting.
Thank you, Naota. Kimo, just one last one before we head out. We mentioned the Super Series earlier, but on the 16th, same day as Canelo, Golovkin, Callum Smith's fighting Eric Skoglund in Liverpool. What's your thoughts on that? Like, Skoglund, I've only seen him once against, I think, Derek Edwards, and again, he's just like an average fighter. Like, nothing really stands out. He just kind of does the basics well. But you got any thoughts?
I've never seen the guy fight, Cam, so I really would not know. I don't even know his record. I mean, I didn't know the guy existed. It's a bit of a casual stance for me, but
yeah, he's undefeated.
That's about it.
26-0, but yeah, like Reno Lindenberg's put on Derek Edwards, probably like his 2 best wins. So in theory, Smith should be able to do it, but Smith's been fighting poor opposition the last couple of years, waiting for his shot at the WBC, and he finally kind of got it, and then jumped in the Super Series. So there you go. But that's it from you guys.
Well, let me say this, Cam. He does look at least better, yeah, like you said, than the opposition that Callum Smith has been facing. So this is the first live dog, no pun intended, in a while that he's going to face. So, you know.
So is this a must watch when we're at a hotel? Because I was just going to ask you. I can always call the Hard Rock, and I can ask for like an HDMI cord or whatever other configurations you guys need to connect Cam's computer to the TV screen.
Bro, you know I'm going to bring a HDMI cable with me, man. I'm prepared, man. OCD.
You are so.
What about audio? OCD? Like audio cords, you're all set on that.
Is it going to be HDMI 2.1 with 4K and surround sound throughput?
Of course, man.
That's what I want, dude. 5.1 Dolby Digital and all that shit, bro.
Dude, the stream we'll have is not even 1p, so why would you bring an HDMI cable?
Hey, bro, I can always.
It's gonna look like a Super Mario game.
I could always just walk around the Hard Rock and ask, all the pretty girls if they want to go up to my room and watch some boxing on a Saturday afternoon.
That's the job, man.
Oh, shit. Hey, what's up, pretty ladies? You guys want to watch a Canelo Smith stream with me? It's like,
you want to watch the stream?
I do. Of course I do, Daddy.
Yeah, they might think that's an innuendo for something.
Yeah, for like golden shower.
And then they literally go upstairs like, oh, we're literally watching a boxing match? Okay.
Yeah, some girl goes with you thinking that you're going to be on some R. Kelly shit, and it turns out to be boxing instead.
Like, girl, you want some of the pig? I got Pigford on. She's like, oh yeah, I want the pig. Here's the pig. He's a fighter. I told you.
This is gonna be so fucking epic.
Oh shit! Right, let's wrap it up, man. Final thoughts. Start with you, Neota.
Final thoughts. Couple of nice weeks of boxing ahead of us, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, as I didn't already, let it be known on this podcast. So let's get it.
Thank you, Neota. Lim, final thoughts.
I mean, there's just so much. I think that there's a lot for us to be very thankful for, and for us to just count our blessings. Life's an everyday struggle. I like to view boxing as a metaphor for life, personally. So, the trials and tribulations that fighters overcome in the ring gives me inspiration to want to better, myself in my personal life. I consider the days for me as rounds in a fight that I have to overcome and achieve greatness. And I think I'm going to be living vicariously through Canelo in these next couple of weeks. I have a pretty large task ahead of me on the 16th as well, and I think I'm going to be able to accomplish that goal with all of my hard work and dedication that I know Canelo is putting in forth as well. So he's kind of like a blood brother of mine, and so I'm on this journey with Canelo. Mi era, as Canelo likes to say, my time. No life, no boxing. Boom.
That sounded almost like the Spanish word for shit. I hope you know that.
Mi era.
Wow.
No life, no boxing.
Wow, that was deep, Lim. Thank you.
I was born ready. No, but seriously, I do have an exam on the 16th of Saturday that I need to kick ass, or else I'm going to have to take it again in December, which I actually don't mind at all. But no, I can't wait, man. It's going to be a great week. I know I'm probably going to be annoyed at chemo. Probably like the over-under is like 9.5, or I'll tell him to shut the fuck up and put the fuck down. But I enjoy it, man. Like, some of my best relationships in life with the girls have been girls that I fucking hated at times, but also just wanted to make dear and tender love to, moments later. So I can't wait for that.
Shit. Thank you, Lim. Chemo, final thoughts. Non-sexual, please.
Ah, man. I'm literally jumping in my room, by the way. I'm so fucking high. In all seriousness, no. Even though Lim was kind of being sarcastic about being blessed and all of that, I do think, honestly, we're blessed that we're able to fucking do this camp. You know, we've talked a little bit about this potential trip in the past. And first it was not really a go, and then it turned out, you know, it was all possible for us. I think, again, it's fucking amazing that we're doing this again, man. Seriously. We really are blessed to do this. I mean, Glasgow was only 3 days, and I had a fucking ball, man. It was amazing. And now we're going to get a shitload of fights. So many, like, bucket lists, hidden items hit in one go as well. Like, going to the StubHub, going to Vegas, you know, seeing Golovkin, seeing Canelo, seeing Gonzalez. So many legends on one trip, man. It's going to be insane.
Don't forget Ski Mask.
Yeah, and we're going to meet, and seriously, we're going to meet a bunch of cool people as well, man. Like, I'm going to meet Ski Mask. Oh, you've met him already. You've experienced his bumminess already, but meet Palmer, meet up with guys like Vic again. I get to meet the legend of Ramrod.
King.
Abe.
Ramrod.
Brian King's going to be in the house. It's going to be fucking crazy, man. It's going to be, one of those holidays that we'll never forget. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm fucking pumped. And,
it's gonna
please look forward to our live coverage, man. It's going to be good.
Hell yeah. It's going to be on MySpace. On fucking all the major social network streams, man.
Well,
MySpace.
Hopefully somebody actually responds, because when I was fucking covering the weigh-in, nobody seemed to respond in Glasgow.
Well, of course. Nobody gives a fuck about covering weigh-ins, man. It's a stupid thing to do, that's why.
Dude, it was bad blood, man.
It's fucking people in their underwear weighing in, for fuck's sake, dude. Who the fuck wants to watch that shit?
Well, you'll watch it if it's Canelo.
Yeah, maybe.
Or McGregor.
That was deep.
What about you, Ken? Any thoughts on you, bro? Or from you, I should say.
Just exciting, man. Like, the previous times I've met up with you guys, I've always had good times, so may that continue, and hope the weather's good.
What the fuck? What do you mean May, dude?
Who knows, man? You're acting a bit like a bitch these days, so I might have to put you under control.
Cam, what is the over-under for you that you're going to smack me in the face in those 2 weeks?
It's very high.
Dude, Cam, if you make any jokes about my car and about potential leftover foods and the rear side of my car, I'm going to fucking throw you out of the vehicle, dude. I'm just letting you know before.
But why can't you just have a clean car and no food in there?
Because I'm young and I live life with vigor.
You don't have to be a messy cunt, though.
Look, Cam, we all have our faults, right? You park with the door open, like that was fucking.
That
weird.
is the weirdest of all, dude. Come on.
You gotta check the rims, man. You don't want to be scratching the rims up on the curb. Come on, man. OCD.
I don't know.
Oh, sure, bro. All right. Anyways, that's it, guys.
All right. Thank you, Lim.
Good shit.
Nailed it. Chemo and Hamada earlier. Also, thank you to all the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll try our best to do some shows while we're over in the States, but forgive us if we can't. Peace.
Fuck no, man.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically bun you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.